And just like that, oh, I got to stretch. We are back after our little break. It was actually a little bit more than 10 minutes. It was 12 minutes. But for people watching VODs, this was 24 hours apart. Past Easy, you are now watching Past Easy in the current timeline, whereas Future Easy has a potentially read more. Look at that. So many layers. It's like a Nolan film. Like, you're just like, whoa, all this time dilemma shit right there. It's crazy. I hope you guys are ready for more Shadow Slave, because I know I am. We just finished a crazy ass fucking arc. We read a good amount of chapters last time. We read from 481 to 494, and we're gonna continue reading from 495. Not gonna lie, I'm sleepy as fuck right now. I forget, Sunny. Remind me, what is your current time? And oh my god, I am scared. There is a system software update on my end on PC. Windows 11, you better not fucking auto update. Otherwise, I'm gonna be mad. I think Sunny is like half a day ahead of us. So like for us, if it's noon, I think for him it's midnight. Roughly. I think he's like 12 hours apart from us. Roughly. That being said, we're gonna pause, update our stuff, and let's get back to reading. I hope you guys are ready. If you like what you're going to see, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and as always, no, I'm fucking stupid. It's gonna be like, stay frosty. This isn't Call of Duty. What the fuck am I saying? And as always, get ready for the next nightmare. I think that was better. All right. Chapter 495. After we make sure that old Lumiere is on loop. Yes, it's on loop. It's called Masked Hero. Masked Hero. By the time Sunny limped back to his house, the news of the gate opening in the prestigious district of the city was all over the network. Luckily, the school Rain attended was situated really far away from where both of them lived. None of the mayhem had reached the terraced neighborhood, leaving it as quiet and peaceful as ever. It was a bit strange to see that nothing had changed here, despite the fact that mere 10 minutes ago of riding the train away, the bodies of numerous nightmare creatures littered the ground, and life simply went on. Well, it wasn't really that surprising. When people reacted strongly to every instance of a gate appearing, nothing would ever get done, and everyone would live every day of their lives in fear. So those not affected by the disaster directly did not allow it to disrupt their moods or routines. People could get accustomed to anything, even the constant possibility of terrifying monsters suddenly coming out of an infernal rift in reality on their street. As long as an important part of the city infrastructure weren't damaged, no one was going to care that much. And even if they were citizens knew how to adapt, public transport would be rerouted, power outages would be dealt with by switching to autonomous generators or simply using candles and so on. The gate was contained, the impact area was already being cleansed by the government workers. When tomorrow came, the cafe Sunny had visited would be open again as if nothing happened, and life would return to normal. And those who had experienced the terror of the gate firsthand would go on, silently bearing an invisible scar on their heart, but that was alright too. Collecting scars was something that everyone who lived in this world had to do as they matured. This was the reality of the nightmare spell. Why am I suddenly in a philosophical mood? Because he's going back into mongrel persona. He has to get philosophical. Am I recording? Yes. So he shook his head and then scoffed at and opened the door on his room. Effie was in the living room taking advantage of the state-of-the-art entertainment. She did not know of the gate? I assume. Maybe she heard? Effie was in the living room taking advantage of the state-of-the-art entertainment Sunny had bought and paid for. When she saw him, a surprised expression appeared on her face. Gods, what happened to you? Did the piano fall on your head? What a strange question. Sunny sighed and then glanced at the Arkley. No, a gate fell on my head, sort of. Damn thing opened right near a cafe I sometimes visit. They sell incredible pastries, so good news is I managed to finish my pastry before getting the hell out. Effie gave him a shocked look. Goodness, you were near that mess? I heard that the government barely gave people time to evacuate this time. Sunny shrugged. Near, yes. The young woman stared at him, then grinned. So how many contribution points did you get? Enough to upgrade the entertainment system, maybe. You won't believe the quality of the haptic interfaces these days. I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, of course, just something to consider. He gritted his teeth and then let out a frustrated sigh. None, I didn't get anything, okay? Effie blinked a couple of times and looked at him with a bit of disappointment. Well, no need to get emotional. There's no shame in avoiding such fights. Everyone wants to live, you know. Sunny waved the hand dejectedly, then turned around. Yeah, I know. Anyways, I'll go take a bath. Have fun. Leaving his guest, well, more like an uninvited housemate, alone in the living room, Sunny went away and prepared an ice bath for himself. When he lowered his aching body in the cold water and endured the initial shock, a pleasant numbness enveloped him. Sunny glanced at the tapestry of bruises covering his skin and sighed. Can I still be considered pale if I am mostly black and purple? Gee, I always want to stop being pasty, but not like this. He closed his eyes and relaxed, enjoying the ice bath. None of his wounds were serious enough to really worry about, so he just had to wait for his body to heal itself. That was going to take a few days, which Sunny was fully intended to spend lazying about and doing nothing. Wasn't that the dream? After a while, we scrolled down too much, he got a bit bored and dedicated to something productive. He could either check on how much he had gained in the bloody battle or see if someone had come close to connecting him to Mongrel. Sunny thought for a few moments and reached for his communicator. I wonder what his count as. Let's see the extent of the damage first. A few moments later, a low groan escaped from his lips. Oh, for spell's sake. Shocking news, mysterious online sensation Mongrel returns to single-handedly contain a Category 2 gate. In the shadow of Lord Mongrel's heroic stand caught on camera, who is Lord Mongrel, the courageous hero that everyone is talking about? The answer might shock you. We knew it all along. Mongrel is a woman confirmed? What the fuck? Where did they get that from? Stand and fight, words to live by. Mongrel refuses to give up. Sunny stared at the screen of the communicator with resentment, then suppressed the desire to crush it in his fist. What is wrong with people? Apparently, a bit of his recent performance had been caught on tape. The shockwave of an opening gate was supposed to mess with electronics, but one camera had miraculously survived. The image was really grainy and stuttering every few seconds, but he can make out a dark figure moving through the mass of nightmare creatures. The soul serpent flashed through the bloody mist, its blade surrounded by a halo of black radiance. The battle style of a barrel wraiths and his need to spill as much blood as possible added an extra layer of brutality to the recording, making him seem like a demon that had escaped from some lightless hell. Lady Mongrel? Instead of Lord Mongrel, praise Lord Mongrel, praise Lady Mongrel. Is there fan art on that? Sunny grimaced as if pain and tentatively looked down on the views counter beneath the video. When he saw it, the communicator slipped from his hand and fell into the water. Oh no. Good thing it's waterproof. Good for him. Never mind. Damnation. Well, you've done it now, fool. Congratulations. You've gone mainstream. Not only has he gone mainstream, they think he's a demoness. Chapter 496. Chapter 496. I like it. This is funny enough, because many students saw her and was misunderstanding. Well, do they think... No, I guess the saint, yeah, the saint is a woman, but I don't know where they get that part, like Mongrel is a female. I don't know. Mongrel was a demoness baddie all along. All right, it ain't that bad. It ain't that. Oh, we're muted? You fucking scared me. We are not muted. That's funny. I believed you. How long have I been recording? Oh, we just hit... Oh, no, we're good. I guess I've been recording for 30 seconds. Today, a terrible tragedy happened in a peaceful and prosperous part of the city. 496 is called Stand and Fight. It was day like any other until a sudden notification alerted the citizens that a gate was about to open nearby. With no time to evacuate, numerous people were going to die, but then a courageous awakened placed himself in the way of the nightmare creatures, holding off the entire advancing horde by himself and refusing to give ground until the government forces arrived. This hero then disappeared without demanding any reward, not leaving even his name behind. Only scores of slaughtered monsters and numerous saved lives. Who is the brave and modest savior? Where did he come from, and what is his true identity? Well, some readers might recognize him as the viral dreamscape sensation Mongrel. Sunny stared at the communicator, which had water dripping from it with a dark expression on his face. And an official newspaper. This is a damn published article, not a random network site. Oh, he made it big. Previously, Sunny had only gone really viral among the people who were interested in the dreamscape and dueling. Even though the recording of his performance in the Coliseum reacted a wider audience, most of the people who had seen it did not pay Mongrel a lot of attention, since they didn't understand the details of his achievements. This one was different. Everyone could relate to a gate opening and knew how terrifying and calamitous such an event would be. So the new video showed Mongrel in a context that revealed just how bizarre and exceptional his deeds were to everyone. Add to that the fact that the combination of the Mantle of the Underworld, Soul Serpent, and Weaver's Mask looked really striking and menacing, and that miraculously no civilian had died despite the late warnings by the government. Sunny found himself in a sea of trouble. Suddenly, he was happy with the fact that he had not been able to augment himself with both of his shadows. At least his physical powers did not seem to be out of the realm of humanly possible, or rather possible for an awakened. The other good news was that, thankfully, there was no recording of Saint. The cameras in the school had been properly damaged, and for that reason, people only knew of her by verbal description, which caused its own share of problems because of how similar the mantle of the underworld was to her armor. Ah! Similar armor. So they thought the Saint was mongrel. Okay, that checks out. Due to that and the nature of how rumors disoriented the truth of the more they were shared, soon many people were convinced that mongrel had protected the children in the school personally, and that led some people to become convinced that mongrel was a woman. Sunny hardly covered his face with a hand. His worst fears has come true though. Despite the fact that the recording showed him using Shadow Step, no one learned the true nature of his ability from the grainy image, and no one connected him and mongrel together. Maybe because of the ridiculous way a song of light and darkness portrayed Sunny, but no one even tried to assume that Changing Star's bumbling sidekick was actually the dark, deadly, demonic swordsman mongrel. At least not yet. Dude, I feel like Effie had to have known. There's no way she can't pick up like a gate opened on you and you got that hurt. I don't buy that. I don't know. I feel like Effie would know and she's just being quiet. She's like, well, Sunny keeps his secrets. Okay, whatever's. Instead, there's a countless discussions like this. Mongrel Seeker knew. Oh my god, there's a guy named Mongrel Seeker, right? Mongrel Seeker knew information on Mongrel's aspect. Previously, we all thought that his ability had to do with a physical enhancement or perception, right? But we were all wrong. The new video clearly shows his aspect is actually spatial sorcery. Spirit of the Colosseum. Do you realize what that means? It means that he didn't even use his aspect in Dreamscape duels. That was all just pure skill. Crazy. Anonymous user. You mean her aspect? Oh, here we go. Mongrel hearsay. Lord Mongrel is not a her. Oh my goodness. Anonymous user. You mean Lady Mongrel. Spirit. I can already see somebody go, Mommy Mongrel. I'll fucking shut up. Spirit of the Colosseum. I bet ping at Mongrel's son. He should know who his dad is. Anonymous user. You mean his mom. Sunny let out an infuriating sight. Well, at least no one is mentioning me. If you think about it, the more people think about Mongrel is a lady, the better. Yes, this is good. No, seriously. So good, cursed them all. And of course, there are a lot of nonsensical threads assigning some deep and profound meaning to every stupid lie he had said. Like, I am just a human. Mongrel reminds us of the only truth. There are no mundanes or awakened, only humans and nightmare creatures. He knows that everyone is equal before the spell or make them bleed. Wow, I have no words. So cool. How can anyone be so cool? At the end of the day, this is all that any of us can do. Repay each drop of human blood the nightmare creatures spill with a river of their own. But mostly it was damned idiotic advice he had given to one of the 6 awakened near the end. Stand and fight. I am the only one who got shivers after hearing that. Me too, bro. I had goosebumps reading that shit. Such simple but all encompassing adage. Lord Mongrel, he is truly awakened. Everywhere he looked, it is the same 3 words. So many people were repeating, praising, and adding them to their bios that Sunny wanted to vomit. Really? They're adding that to their fucking bios? What is happening? As people continued to watch the recording and discuss it, the truth got hazier and hazier. Pretty soon, everyone seemed to have forgotten that Sunny had not actually contained the gate by his lonesome self. No one mentioned Master Jet, who had literally saved his skin and took the Guardian alone, eventually defending the fallen tyrant without a cohort of masters supporting her. I'm surprised no one's bringing that up. No one mentioned the 6 awakened who had helped him, and a literal army of government soldiers who had done the really heavy lifting and wiped out the entire horde, which he had only stalled until their arrival. It was all Mongrel and his courageous selflessness, heroic stand against numerous nightmare creatures, as if he was some sort of fearless slaughtering demigod. It's almost like no one even cares about the truth. Sunny threw the communicator to the pile of clothes and closed his eyes in frustration. It was a very strange sentiment. The irony was not lost on him one bit. Curses, who knew that I would be lamenting a lack of truth one day? Me of all people, what is this situation? Yeah, what is this? Wait a minute. Indeed, making Sunny care about the truth was not easy. It was not a simple trick. I mean, the 2 aspects of Troll and Shadow Slave, one of my favorite. All right. Unexpected turn. What is... I can't tell what's going to be unexpected at this point. There are so many twists and turns that kind of just come out of nowhere, man. Right? But chapter 498 is called Unexpected Turn. Chapter 497 is called Unexpected Turn. Eventually, Sunny climbed out of the bath, dressed himself, and moved to the kitchen to make himself something to eat. After the intense gauntlet of the gate battle, he was hungry like a wolf. That's a good song, Hungry Like a Wolf. Ravenous, really, cooking... Wait, hold up. We need to title the stream for last video. After the intense gauntlet of the gate battle, he was hungry like a wolf, ravenous, really. Cooking calmed him down a little, and the pleasant smell made his mood a bit better. Now that Sunny had some time to think, he saw the whole situation in a new light. Yes, his hope for Mongrel to be forgotten was utterly shattered, but there was a bright side to this fiasco. Now that he had completely failed to keep a low profile, there was no more reason to, which meant that he could resume practicing Shadow Dance in Dreamscape and hopefully master its second step before the winter came. Okay, I thought he'd master it here. He just had to rethink how he viewed the persona of Mongrel. Initially, Sunny had planned to make it unseen and anonymous, merely a camouflage he would put on to accomplish certain things. Things were inconvenient or too dangerous to be tied to his own name. While the ship has sailed, he was pretty sure from now on, anything having to do with Mongrel was going to be at the center of people's attention. But that wasn't necessarily bad. There were ways to remain unseen, even in the spotlight. In fact, sometimes it was easy. All magicians knew that the secret to pulling off a flawless trick was not to become invisible, but to direct the crowd's attention towards something eye-catching and away from the hand performing the switch. Literally like a magician. Sunny was not Sunny was not a magician, but he did consider himself to be an experienced cheat. The principle was more or less the same. Yep. So if he played his cards right, the more attention Mongrel received, the more freedom he would have to move unseen in the shadows, accomplishing his goals under everyone's nose with no one being the wiser. Maybe. Such a thing was hard to accomplish and hid more risks, but even promised a greater reward, so not all was lost. Plus, he had to protect Rain. That was the only thing that really mattered. Everything else paled in comparison. Sunny finished his... I can see numbers in brackets, so that might be his counter. Let me hide that. Sunny finished his decadently generous dinner and moved to the porch. Sitting in the shade, he relaxed, grimaced a little due to the pain, and took a sip of tea. He was suddenly in a great mood, and why wouldn't he be? It was finally time to take a look at the spoils. The battle might have been hard and had almost cost him his life, but he had not fought for nothing. Summoning the runes, Sunny glanced at the familiar string of them and smiled. Shadow fragments, 1,814 out of 2,000. Magician, I should have said I understood that reference. I fucked up, Riru. Incredible. In just 10 or so minutes, Sunny had gained more shadow fragments than he usually did in weeks. From what Sunny remembered, he slaughtered almost 100 nightmare creatures in front of the gate. Granted, most of them were of the dormant rank and had not contributed any fragments to his growing course, but still it was a monumental accomplishment. It made him think back to the first abomination he had ever slain, the Mountain King's larva. How tense and terrifying the fight had been, how convinced he was that the previous creature would kill him. Who would have thought that one day, in a not-too-distant future, he would be able to slaughter 100 nightmare creatures of similar or greater power without being torn to pieces? Sunny had come so far. Lowering his gaze, he glanced at the runes, describing his memories, and couldn't contain a delightful grin. Oh, I was so lucky today. Without even continuing the obsidian spear he had gotten and then swiftly lost to the tyrant, there were 6 new memories in his arsenal, most of them of the awakened rank. Sunny studied them for a bit and coming to the conclusion that none were better than his current ones. Okay. Or performed something that he wasn't already capable of, dove into the soul sea. He fed the memories to Saint and looked at her runes, satisfied with what he saw. Shadow fragments, 179 out of 200, so close. At this rate, he would probably be able to reach the full 200 before having to go into the battle with the vine creature inhabiting the wreck of the ancient ship. If Saint grew even more powerful before then, her presence was going to change a lot of things. So he drank his tea in the peaceful silence of the terraced district, grimacing from time to time because of the pain of his bruised body, but even the pain couldn't spoil his mood. Today was a good day. He watched Rain be brought home in a PTV, made sure she was fine, well, as fine as a young girl could be after experiencing a close brush with an opening gate, and went inside. He was due for some well-deserved rest. Literally, man. In the evening, when the sun hid behind the horizon and the street lamps were flooding the city with pale white lights, Sunny was resting in the living room, doing nothing in particular. He was lazily scrolling through the pages of a popular webtoon and appreciate. You know what is going to be a popular webtoon later this year, right, guys? Shadow Slave. He was lazily scrolling through the pages of a popular webtoon and appreciating the twists and turns of a simple story. Crazy, do people really think about such stuff? His thoughts were suddenly interrupted by a strange sound. It took Sunny a couple of seconds to realize what it was, since he had never heard of it in his house before. Someone was knocking on the door. What the hell? Who could be it's Master Jet. She's here. Who could be visiting him at this late hour? Putting the communicator away, Sunny sent his shadow to take a look at this and scratch the back of his head in confusion. Standing on the porch was none other than Rain. Oh, she's visiting? Wearing her cozy home clothes and looking uncharacteristically nervous, what is she doing here? For a moment, Sunny considered pretending that he wasn't home, but then sighed and stood up. There was no point in hiding since they literally lived almost next to each other. Walking over to the door, he lingered a second or two, made sure that none of his bruises were showing, and then opened it. Yes, what's up? Not knowing that Sunny had already seen how nervous she was, Rain pretended to be calm and gave him a polite smile. Hey, Sunny, the food container, Mom wants it back. He stared at her for a couple of moments. Oh, wait here. He walked to the kitchen, retrieved the container from the dishware machine, and returned to the porch. Here, tell your mom that her cooking is delicious. We really enjoyed it. Rain took the container but didn't leave. Instead, she just stood there silently, looking at him with a tense expression. Sunny frowned. Can I? But at the exact moment, she suddenly blurted out, I know who you are. If Sunny had a drink in hand, he would... She might mix it up. I think she's gonna think of the movie, right? If Sunny had a drink in hand, he would undoubtedly do a spit take. What? As his heart almost stopped, he looked at Rain with a deadpan expression, maintaining it cost him a lot though. What does she think she knows? Well, of course you know who I am. I introduced myself when we met for the first time, didn't I? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. After a bit of an awkward pause, Rain said, No, I mean, I know that you're an awakened. Sunny, he's like, what the fuck? Sunny blinked a couple of times, but before he could come up with something to say, she hurriedly continued. Sorry, just that my dad works for the government, so he knows such things. You're so young with no parents, but are able to afford a house in the neighborhood. Plus, you don't go to a university or to work, so you are an awakened, aren't you? Solid reasoning. He hesitated, then simply shrugged. Sure, not like it's a big secret anyways. Rain remained silent for a few moments and then said, Are you any good? Sunny stared at her for a bit, then it grinned slowly. Oh my god, he's gonna fucking brag now, huh? Like, well, I saved everybody on the Forgotten Shore. I fought a tyrant here and there. I fallen through the sky for a month, no biggie. I fought in crazy shit that would pale in comparison to what you did, but no biggie. You want me to teach you? Oh yeah. Are you any good? Sunny stared at her for a bit, then a grin slowly appeared on his face. Me? Oh, the best of the best. Probably the strongest awakened in the world, really. No one else can even compare. A slight scowl appeared on Rain's face. I'm being serious. Are you any good or not? Sunny lingered for a moment, then sighed. Yes, yeah, I'm alright. Why are you asking? Rain looked at him for a while as if gathering the courage. Then she clenched her fist and blurted, Can you train me? Sunny stared at her dumbfounded. Well, I'll be damned. That's like an unexpected turn. Yeah, it really did. I was like, what could be an unexpected turn? Yeah, like, oh, so I don't even have to watch her for weeks and monitor her progress and see what happens. Like, I don't have to sacrifice any time. She's like, can you train me? Easy. We solved that shit so fast. Sensei Sunny. That was a fire line. Chapter 498 is called Superficial Connection. Train her. Wasn't that exactly what he wanted? It was, but wasn't it also exactly what he wanted to avoid? Yes, it was that too. Sunny was in a strange predicament. The solution to the problem that had tormented him for so many months had suddenly fallen right into his lap out of nowhere. But to make use of it, he had to do something that went against all previous reservations. He didn't want Rain to be connected to him in any way. If Sunny was honest with himself, he had to admit that he was drawn to her, or rather, to the faint, half-forgotten memories of a different happy time that she represented. His desire to reconnect with Rain was both selfish and misguided, since he knew nothing was going to bring those memories back to life. And if Sunny was really honest, he had to admit that deep down, he harbored a lot of resentment towards her too, for having a loving family while he had none, for being fine, for not needing him at all. What a mess of emotions that was. And if there was one thing that Sunny was really bad at dealing with, was his feelings. For him, fighting hordes of nightmare creatures was much easier, and then it was his inner turmoil was not enough. There was an external force at play too. There was his fate to attribute. The strange connection he had to Weaver and Nephis with her murderous feud against the Sovereigns and the inhuman will to see the spell destroyed. The more he and Rain were connected, the higher were the chances of her being implicated in all of this. But maybe as long as they only had a shallow connection between a kid from an affluent family and her hired tutor, things weren't going to get out of hand. He also had to consider that the threat posed by a potential first nightmare was much greater than that of being superficially tied to him. After all, Sunny had not done anything to attract the really dangerous kind of attention, or rather, had not been caught doing anything like that yet. While he was torn between these conflicting thoughts, Rain waited patiently and then misjudged his silence, said, "Oh, of course, I will pay you. I have some money saved from a trip, and well, I can also ask my parents. It's just that you're the only Wicked I know, you know, apart from my combat instructor in school." Sunny looked at her, a deep frown on her face, eventually asked, "What brought upon this conversation? Why do you suddenly want someone to train you? You said it yourself, you already have a combat instructor. I thought you rich kids get taught everything you need in school." Rain suddenly grew quiet and looked away. After a while, she said, "That you probably haven't heard, but there was a gate that opened near my school today. Many people almost died. I saw a real nightmare creature, even it was this close to me. An awakened like you won't probably understand how it feels, right?" "Oh, sorry. What am I saying? Of course you don't understand. I mean, what I mean to say is that I was absolutely powerless, and that was not a nice feeling. Not a nice feeling at all." Dude, she is just like Sunny. This is what I was telling you. Dude, she's literally just like Sunny, where like they both need to get stronger. Like it's not a choice anymore, dude. He glanced at him and said with a suddenly serious tone, "So I want to become strong. Really strong. Strong enough to never feel that way again." Sunny almost laughed. Oh, what irony. Here we are. So different and in such different situations, but our desires are completely the same. Literally, dude. Become stronger, so much stronger, as strong as one could possibly be. Rain paused for a few moments and then added, "And what we are taught in school is not nearly enough. At least it wasn't today. Some of my classmates have private tutors, and that their parents hire for them real awakened fighters, but it's just a question of status to them. They don't really learn, or if they do, I don't see it make any differences when a nightmare creature were trying to kill us." Sunny smiled from the corner of his mouth. "That's because 1,000 hours of training will never be as impactful as one real fight. My own mentor told me that once." He hesitated for a second and then added, "I myself was trained by a very special person, the best fighter I have ever met and probably ever will. The funny thing is, though, I sort of swindled her into teaching me how to handle a sword. Felt a little guilty about it ever since, so I guess it won't hurt to pay it forward and help someone like you out." Oh! Sunny looked at Rain with a dark expression, realizing that he had already made a decision. To hell with it. Why make things complicated when they are actually really simple? He shook his head. "Be warned, though, if you want me to train you, I will really train you. It's going to be hard as hell and hurt a lot. I don't want to hear any complaints or see you slacking off, understand?" Rain suddenly giggled. Sunny scrawled, "What's so funny?" She waved a hand. Sorry, it's just that it's funny when you act all strict and serious, because you know, you are barely older than me, but I do understand. I'll work hard, I promise." Sunny stared at her for a bit and then said in a low voice, "What do you mean barely older than you? I'm ages older than you. Just half the crap I've seen would be enough for a few lifetimes of the likes of you." Then he smiled menacingly and added, "Oh, and by the way, I also won't be cheap. I have mouths to feed, you know. That guest you've seen, I can't seem to get her to leave. There's also a stone-hearted beauty who always follows me around, and her diet is unreasonably expensive. But what can I do? Attracting women with terrifying appetites seems to be my curse." This fucking dude. He's so funny. He sighed, looked at Rain and added, "But if you still didn't change your mind, then fine, I'll train you, Rain." What a good chapter. Somewhere far... Fuck you! Are we cutting to Nephis? Somewhere far away? No fucking way. That title, bro... This fucking title literally implies that we're cutting to Nephis. Far away? Somewhere far away in the fucking Hollow Mountains, you say? Maybe? Maybe? And after just talking about how, like, someone trained me? Bro, ain't no shot this isn't a Nephis chapter. Holy... fucking shit, I am so hyped. Somewhere... Okay. Maybe I'm wrong and it's something else. Somewhere far... I can't even want to hide what I'm reading. I just want to look. Somewhere far away in the depths of an endless and inescapable nightmare, a blinding disk of incandescent sun was bathing the dunes of a vast desert in a flood of emulting heat. The sands of the desert were flawlessly white, and the azure sky above them was deep and boundless, like an ancient ocean with not a single cloud gleaming its silking expanse. Being battered by the heat, a lone figure moved across the sand. Dude, no fucking way. She got out of the... So she got out of the Hollow Mountains and ended up in the desert, where the pyramid is in the drawing, right? It was a young woman with striking gray eyes, her skin covered in terrible burns, her silver hair dirty with blood and surrounded by a radiant halo of radiant light. Wait, so she just has a white halo? Because I know she can summon it, but has that always been a thing? Her silver hair dirty with blood and surrounded by a radiant halo of reflecting light. She wore charred remains of shattered armor and wielded a broken sword, its silver blade fractured and ending in a jagged edge close to the hilt. Wow, she is beat up. The young woman walked forward, the trail of her footprint stretching far into the distance and disappearing over the horizon. To her left, there was nothing but an endless sea of white dunes. To her right, a line of black mountains, eventually creating a boundary for scorching desert. Holy shit, she made it out. Far ahead, there was a tree with scarlet leaves and a scattering of something that looked like a pale fruit hanging from its wide branches. This was where Nephis was headed. She had to reach the tree before the night came, or no, it was better to not think of it. Her water had long run out, and the thirst was slowly taking hold of her mind. Her tortured body was a sea of pain, but she could still walk, she could still fight. Holy shit, dude. This is the first time we've seen her in so long, dude. Oh my god. She was still not willing to give up. After a while, the tree grew closer. Nephis stopped and stared at the white bark, its scarlet leaves, and the shapes she had thought were fruit, but they weren't. Instead, tens of thousands of skulls hung from the beautiful branches, fastened to them with glistening threads of black silk. A spring of water formed a clear pool in the shadow of the great tree, and on its back, with its back to her, stood a figure clad in a strange rusted armor. A human. No, the figure was too tall to be one of her kind. As if hearing her thoughts, the creature turned around, revealing a desiccated face of a corpse, hollowed eyes emanating ominous blue radiance, and 6 heads, each grasping the hilt of a weapon. 2 hands held long swords, their blades sharper and a razor curved slightly. 2 hands held menacing twisted sickles, and the last 2 held a heavy scepter and a broken shield. I'm sorry, how did she fight this? The chest plate of the creature's rusted armor was shattered, revealing a harrowing wound beneath. Being consumed by thirst and exhaustion, Nephis raised a hand as if begging the creature stop, but of course it didn't. With furious madness burning in its eyes, the abomination lunged at her, striking down with one of the sickles. It moved faster than lightning, sending a scarlet... This is so fucked up, bro. That's, I think, the first time where it looked like she's like, no, stop, right? With furious madness burning in its eyes, the abomination lunged at her, striking down with one of the sickles. It moved faster than lightning, sending a scarlet cloud of fallen leaves swirling into the air with a strong gust of wind. Taking a step back, Nephis raised her broken sword to deflect the devastating strike, as if forgetting that it had no blade. At the last moment, though, a ray of pure sunlight appeared where the blade would have been, stopped the sickle from rending her flesh. Nephis swayed from the force of the impact, but remained standing, her cracked lips open, and a hoarse whisper escaped from her. Let us burn then, let us burn together. And the next moment, white flames ignited in her eyes. Her skin suddenly shone with pure radiance, with them becoming brighter and brighter, and then brighter still. Throwing the sickle away, she dodged 2 thrusting swords and danced around the armored giant, her blade of sunlight piercing the rusted armor with terrifying ease. The 2 of them fought in the shade of the ancient tree, thousands of skulls staring at their battle with empty eyes as they swayed in the wind. Nephis was much slower and weaker than the 6th armored demon, but her skill was flawless, inexplicable, and deadly. She moved with the flow of battle as if it was to her natural element, controlling its cadence with indefinite ease. Her flesh mended itself seconds after being torn, and the flames burning in her eyes only grew hotter. Deathly pale from harrowing pain, her beautiful face grew colder and colder, becoming almost inhuman. Her sword of sunlight, meanwhile, left molten marks of the body of the ancient demon, and even though such wounds could never harm it, after a while the creature suddenly staggered. Of course it did. That was a memory left behind by the nameless son of the forgotten shore after all. Everything it touched was doomed to have its soul destroyed. Oh, this is so fucking crazy, dude. Reading one of her chapters. Finally, Nephis managed to find an opening and dash forward, slashing upwards with a nameless sun. The sunlight blade cut through the rusted armor and severed one of the demon's arms, then fell down and sliced through another. Before the creature could recover, she was already upon it. Nephis sidestepped a crushing blow of the heavy scepter and placed her hand on the demon's face. The creature froze and opened its mouth as if to scream. However, all that escaped from it were dancing tongues of white flames, and the pure white radiance enveloped Nephis' skin dimmed. It was as though the demon burned from within. Flames fissures opened in his body, leaking pristine fire and radiating annihilating heat. His flesh boiled and black, and eventually blue shine off his eyes replaced with a blinding white flame. So we killed it. And then the light was extinguished, leaving two dark charred holes behind. Nephis let go of the creature's face and watched its scorching body fall to the ground. She stared at it for a few moments and then indifferently turned away. Making a few steps forward, Nephis swayed and fell to her knees. Then she reached into the pool with trembling hands, put her palms together, and brought a handful of cold sweat water to her lips. Finally, her terrible thirst could be quenched. That was such a good chapter, dude. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. I've missed Nephis so much. I really hope we just keep going. Are we going to keep going? In the depths of nightmare? Oh my god, it's still going. New fucking milestone, by the way. We've hit chapter 500 schmackaroos. Holy shit. This is our last chapter for the day. Nah, I'm kidding. Chapter 500 is called In the Depths of a Nightmare. After drinking her fill, Nephis sat silently on the edge of the pool for a while, staring into the distance. Her eyes, however, were moving as if reading an invisible book that floated in the air above the calm waters. Oh my god, I'm dying. Some time later, a pale shadow of a smile touched her lips. That guy, he did something crazy again, didn't he? What? Sometime later, a pale shadow of a smile touched her lips. That guy, he did something crazy again, didn't he? She closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. How was he so fast? In the past months, years, lifetime spent traveling the dream realm, surrounded by nothing except for pain and bloodshed, Nephis had started doubting the memories of her previous life. Sometimes all of it seemed like something that she had simply imagined, a bittersweet dream she had invented to escape from the horrors of the real world, this world, the world of never-ending nightmares. The change of the runes describing Sunny was only connection she had left to the actual reality. Perhaps it was the only thing keeping her sane. Even if things she saw in the shimmering runes were something hard to believe, the impossible lineage that should not have existed, the divine memory of the seventh rank, the strange essence of his soul, the true nature of the taciturn stone demon, and of course of his flaw. It seemed that Sunny had much more secrets than Nephis had suspected. With that knowledge, many things made much more sense now. But at the same time, many others seemed much more incredible. Well, it's not like she didn't have secrets of her own. And anyways, it was all in the past. Everything was in the past. All that remained was the future. She did not hope that he was doing well. Though out in the real world with Cassie, looking up from the water, Nephis shifted her gaze to the ancient tree and saw two weathered skeletons cruelly nailed to the white bark. Both stared at her with empty eyes, their teeth barred with eternal grins. After some time, one of the skeletons said, "My, oh my, am I that pleasant to look at?" It's talking? Or is she just going crazy? The other grated his teeth and let out a creaky growl, then strained, trying to wrestle free of the large silver nails, impaling it to the tree. However, no matter how furiously it struggled to nails held true, Nephis looked at the skeletons with a calm expression, no emotion reflecting in her cold gray eyes. The first skeleton spoke again. Is that a living blood I smell? Gods, what terrible sins have you committed, girl, to be cast into this hell alive, even for a revolting Nephilim like you? A what? A Nephilim? This is new lore. I'm fucking putting a Nephilim. So, wait, this is a talking nightmare creature referring to a human as a Nephilim. And her name is Nephis. I wonder if there's a connection there. Okay. Nephilim. Uh-oh. Somebody deleted the message. I don't know. Somebody deleted another message. Whoa, another message. Okay. Something's happening. Okay. All right. Okay. We're about to read something. Okay. What terrible sins have you committed to be cast into this hell alive, even for a revolting Nephilim like you? This is too harsh of a punishment. Finally, she opened her mouth and said hoarsely, in the voice of a person who had almost forgotten how to speak, what language do you use? The skeletal laughed. The only language there is in this place, of course. Why do you wish to learn it? Nephis remained silent for a long time and then said, I seek a way back to the waking world. Do you know how to escape this place? The skeletal stared at her with a grin. The waking world, what is that? The second skeleton suddenly spoke, his voice deep and full of rage. Can't you smell the stench of a daemon? Oh, Sonny? Can't you smell the stench of a daemon on this abominable thing? She is one of Weaver's, you fool. The first skeletal turned its skull a little and then asked, is that so? My oh my, in that case, you will not find guides better than the two of us. Just take us off this damn tree and we will lead you to wherever you want. Nephis stared at them for a while, then turned away. I don't need two guides. Which one should I pick? The second skeletal strained to free himself again and then roared. I am Azarax the Mighty, the Plague of Steel, Kings of Kings, Conqueror of 100 thrones. Choose me, Nephilim. I will guide you to the shores of the underworld and through its dark expanse back to the world of the living. You will need a powerful guide if you wish to escape. She spared him a glance and then said to the other one, what about you? The first skeletal answered in an aloof tone, me? Oh, I am no one, just a humble slave. Kind of sounds like Sunny. Nephis lingered for a bit. Finally, she asked, why are you two nailed to the tree? The skeletal who called himself Azarax growled, don't you know where you are, abominable creature? I am here because I led my armies into the great war, slaughtered a myriad of souls, and was punished for my strength and my pride. She shifted her gaze to the other one. The first skeleton answered succinctly, I have angered the gods. Nephis tilted her head a little. How? The skeletal sighed with regret. Well, if you must know, I slit a god's throat, my oh my. What? One could say that it was a misunderstanding. Was there really a need to be so petty? The sun was already falling behind the horizon, and chilling cold was spreading across the white desert. Nephis summoned her white cloak and wrapped herself in it, shivering. Soon the night descended upon the world, revealing a myriad of bright stars. As it did, the sand moved, and slowly countless figures rose from behind it. All of them were corpses with no flesh remaining of their perfectly black bones. Some of the creatures that resembled humans, some of the towering giants, and some being of who were too strange and terrifying to describe. In a clamor of rusted armor and a litany of howls, the hordes of abominations clashed against each other, continuing their terrible battle even in death. Wow, so they're like fighting. I assume it's like I know they're fighting, I said they're fighting, but it's like the remnants of like their war or whatever. They keep fighting. Nephis moved closer to the tree, which somehow remained an isle of calm in the sea of terror, and looked at the first skeleton. You remind me of someone I know. Come morning, I will take you off the tree to guide me, though. The skeletal cackled. Very well, vile creature. Even though you are revolting, I will keep my promise. Nephis grinned. What do I call you, then? The skeletal remained silent for a bit. A name. I used to have one of those before. What is it? Oh, he moved his jaw a little and then said, how the fuck do you say his name? Iris? Iris of the Nine. So she's picking Iris because Iris reminds him of Sunny. Step 2. I'm sorry, are we back? Are we still with Nephis or do we change? Euris. Nepha, is it Nephilim? I wrote it down. Nephilim. He said Nephilim. So we have Nephilim, we have Euris, and we have, what was the other guy's name? Allah something. I already forgot his name. Azarax. All right. Euris. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, guys. Chapter 501 is called Step 2. We better, if we fucking change POVs, as waves of summer heat assaulted, fucking shit, we changed back. As I really want, can we explain now? Wait, hold up, Uncharted. I feel like we shouldn't explain anything now. I feel like there's nothing. Wait, what are we gonna explain? If it's not a spoiler, yeah, we can explain. Yay, I can explain. I'm so dumb. I should have been recording this. This sounds really important. Okay, so we got the Nephilim stuff out the way. And then when Sunny's first nightmare, he killed someone called a Row of the Nine. And his newly introduced character also seems to be a part of the Nine. Got it. Got it. Wrong dude. Sorry. I said Azrax. My bad. Uri's of the Nine. Check. Wrong. Sorry. Azrax. Sorry. That was engagement bait. I didn't mean Azrax. Engagement bait. You guys fell for it as always. You guys are so gullible. Ha ha ha. Funny, easy moment. That was a good bit, huh? So not Azrax of the Nine. Sorry. He was like the King of Kings. I meant Uri's of the Nine. All right. That being said, I don't know where I am. I think we're at the start of the chapter, right? Chapter 501 is called Step 2. As waves of summer heat assaulted the city, I'm just rereading it just because we were talking about that for a while, and I should have recorded it from the beginning when we opened up Discord. But as waves of summer heat assaulted the city, a concrete and alloy jungle had turned into a sweltered oven. The air filtration system was running without pause to save people from suffocating in the clouds of populance, and in poorer districts, water had to be radiated because of the drought. Luckily, none of that touched a peaceful terraced neighborhood. Must be good. Here, people leisurely enjoyed the warm weather and the cool shade of the tall trees where they had free time, had unlimited access to fresh water and delightfully cold drinks, and lived their life seemingly without a care in the world. Sunny was constantly surprised to find himself among these fortunate and prosperous people. For the past months, his life was very busy, but without any distress. He had been steadily working towards his various goals, slowly making progress towards each. His shadow fragments were nearing full saturation, and so were Sane. Why am I not recording this conversation? This makes so much more sense. I'm sorry. Sunny, I was thinking of Hero. I thought Hero and Aro were different. Sunny was referring to him as Hero, but his name was Aro. Yes, Aro. It was given by Sunny. Okay. They called him Hero because he was protecting and saving everyone, but his name is Aro. I was like, when you guys were talking about the guy that wanted to kill him in the cave, I was like, wait, no. The guy that wanted to kill him in the cave was Hero, not Aro. Okay, got it. That makes more sense. Wow. Ooh. Are we getting a little bit of a lore in Shadow Slave? Ooh. Ooh. You taste that? Can you taste that? That's the taste of world building. That's some good shit. Some good shit. I'm gonna take another sip. Ooh, it's good. Bro is discovering how peak Shadow Slave lore is. I am. It's fucking good. It's good. I'll be honest. Right now, Lord of the Mysteries. Okay. Wait, don't get mad. I read 1,400 chapters of Lord of the Mysteries, and I've only read 500 of Shadow Slave. But Lord of the Mysteries had some crazy ass shit that was built up since chapter 1. And I assume this is already building up shit since the first nightmare that we probably don't know yet. But dude, like chapter 1 was already building shit up that you don't get until like 1,000+ chapters into it. And I was like, holy absolute cinema. And I can already feel the cogs turning in Guilty 3's mind with him, with all this foreshadowing shit from the beginning. It's good. I like it. He had returned to the dreamscape and participated in countless duels in the professional arenas. I lost my place. He had just returned to the dreamscape and wait, hold up. Sunny was constantly surprised to find himself among these fortunate and prosperous people. For the past month, his life was very busy, but without any distress. He had been steadily working towards his various goals, slowly making progress towards each. His shadow fragments were nearing full saturation, and so were Saints. He had returned to the dreamscape and participated in countless duels in the professional arenas where the fighters were much more capable and gave him the opportunity to witness and comprehend many different battle styles. As a result, Sunny was able to further develop Shadow Dance, making his mastery of it much more solid. The Prince of the Underworld enchantment of the mantle was now also very different from how it had been before. Even if he wasn't going to reach the mark, 6,000 defeated fucking 6,000? He's beaten that many people? 6,000 defeated opponents at any time soon, or even a third of it. He was still making consistent progress. The counter already showed 1,579 out of 6,000. I'll tell you right now, I don't think I remember that. Do you remember the first page of chapter 23 of volume 1? Fuck no, but I will go back and read that. And during his appraisal is when the name of the person he killed is mentioned. Why is it interesting that indicating he was someone special? Oh, okay. All right. I'm liking the lore already. The drawback, of course, was that with each day he went without losing a fight, Mongrel received more and more praise and attention. These days, each of his duels gathered an audience as large as that of a top Dreamscape broadcaster, especially because some sort of yearly tournament seemed to be approaching. Mongrel's fans, however, were doomed to be bitterly disappointed. Sunny had no plans of participating in a foolish imaginary competition. He didn't care about fame and recognition and was too busy to even spare it at a thought. Apart from practicing shadow dance, he had also continued training Effie and Saint, slowly bringing his mastery of the spear closer to that of his knowledge of the sword. He also had to run the brilliant Emporium, which was quickly blossoming in an actual enterprise thanks to Aiko's management and hard work. And that is where we got the picture of her like doing the money spread. I can see her already doing it. And of course, he had been training Rain. Come on, seriously. She was currently in his living room, staring at him with outrage. Sunny tilted his head a little. Sure, what seems to be the problem? Rain opened her mouth, then shook her head. Listen, Sunny, I understand that you are the teacher. I really do. But it has already been a month, and all you have taught me were wilderness survival lessons, and only one. Strike, which I have repeated thousands of times already. When I asked you to train me, I thought... Sunny grinned. You thought what? That I would teach you how to decimate nightmare creatures and bring all your enemies to their knees? She coughed in embarrassment and then said in a small voice, yes? He shrugged, but this is exactly what I am teaching you. Who do you think survives in a dream realm? The best swordsmen, the strongest fighters? No, you need to be alive to fight a nightmare creature. And for that, you need to know how to find food, water, how to read tracks, and to move through the environment without letting it kill you. And it will try to kill you, believe me. Dude, literally... I can like feel Teacher Julius coursing through his like veins, man. Oh my goodness. He paused and then added, you stopped at Egghead, I assume One Piece, right? I stopped reading One Piece when like Egghead was almost done. There's a pretty crazy reveal with a certain gear and somebody else, and I was like, hold up, I'll come back to it. And I know Egghead is airing right now. I've been trying to wait. I don't know, I'm trying to savor it, you know? Because I've already been reading it for 10 years and watching it for 10 years. So I'm gonna take a little break and then come back to it. He paused, then added, yes, they taught you the basics in school, but not nearly enough. You want to live long enough to become strong, then this is step one. Rain let out a long sigh and then looked at Effie for support. The Huntress was currently balancing in her wheelchair with a bored expression on she's so out of it. The Huntress was currently balancing in her wheelchair with a bored expression on her face, waiting at the door for some snacks as she ordered to arrive. What? Listen to Sunny, kid. He might look like a wet weasel, but this guy knows his stuff. The things he lived through are simply beyond reason. Honestly, if he had any shame, he would have been dead. Sunny spared a dark glance and said, thanks, I guess. Rain frowned, accepted her defeat. A few moments later, she suddenly asked, what's step 2? He raised an eyebrow. What? You said that learning to navigate the environment without dying is step 1. What's step 2? Sunny elected her for a few moments and then said, it's about your mindset. You're not ready for step 2 yet, though. We'll get to it when the time is right. For someone like Rain, the step was going to be the hardest. She didn't really have an aptitude for violence yet because her life so far had been nice and soft. But she would have to not only come to terms with violence, but also adopt it to her very core of her being. Make it one of the cornerstones of herself. That was the only way to survive the spell. Oh my god. So we must make her a little bit evil. Ironically for Sunny, that step had been the easiest. In fact, he had made it long before his first nightmare, long before the spell even knew of his existence. Rain stared at him with disappointment and said, I just want to be strong like her. He blinked a couple... Oh my god. Like Mongrel. I just want to be strong like her. He blinked a couple of times, like who? Rain suddenly smiled. The awakened who saved me. She is so amazing, so strong, so beautiful. True warrior. Not someone like you. Suddenly, a mortified expression replaced her wasteful smile. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. You are great too, Sunny. I'm sure just, you know, not on her level. Shut up, dude. Sunny stared at her for a bit, then said in a strange tone, "Sure, no offense taken. Not everyone is made to be a true warrior, that's right." He wanted to say something else, but at that moment, his communicator suddenly rang. Among an incoming call, Sunny frowned. Who might it be? I wonder if, like, if Rain were to explain what Lady Mongrel looked like, I wonder if Nephis would be like, that sounds like Saint. And then she'd be like, oh. Is Sunny Mongrel? I feel like that's where they'd clicked, right? Very few people ever called him. Looking at the screen, he suddenly felt a bit cold. It was a sour repeater herself, a scent jet. What? Why is she calling me? Sunny hesitated for a couple. Oh my gosh, she's here. Sunny hesitated for a couple of moments and answered the call. Yes, Master Jet. The familiar voice, as relaxed as ever, came out of the speaker. Oh, hey there. Awake and sunless, are you free right now? What does she want? She glanced at Rain, though for a bit, then said cautiously, sort of, why? For a few moments, there was nothing but static on the sound of the PTV moving coming out of the communicator. Then Master Jet said, mind lending me a hand? Okay. Sudden request. I wonder if she is calling him because she already figured out that, like, oh, the person with the mask is not a woman, as people say. It's a dude. Sunny was in the area, but, like, there's no shot he ran away. I feel like she's requesting help so she can see if he is Weaver. Or Mongrel, Lady Mongrel. I feel like this is a trick for her to figure out if it's him or not, you know? But not like with malicious intent. A trick for good malicious intent, you know? Before we read this next chapter, I just want to say I'm starting to notice some of your guys' names. A lot of your guys' names, I'm like, oh, it's just a YouTube profile name. But now I'm noticing the word Aurora of the Nine. Or, like, I'm reading, like, Weaver's Mask. Or, like, now I'm noticing some of your guys' names. And I think that's why now I just subconsciously I don't say a person's full YouTube name. Like, for example, Aurora of the Nine, I just go Aro. Or Sunny_64, I just go Sunny, right? Or, like, who said there was another name over here that was a character we just found out about. I think somebody literally had one of the skeleton guys' names and commented. And I'm like, oh, that's the dude. Well, point is, now I'm starting to notice a lot of your guys' YouTube names are spoilers. I just don't know it yet. If there's spoiler names, don't worry about it. Yeah, okay. I mean, you can also probably tell them too on Discord, just be careful with your name or whatever. Or some, but I think it's been okay because I don't know these things. And one thing I do to prevent myself from being spoiled, like, instead of reading Gregory's full YouTube name, I just go Greg. I'm Dorian or random in Discord or Alma. Got it. Bomber T. No, he shouldn't read the name. I don't read the full names now. Hey, like Aurora of the Nine, I literally just go Aurora. Or official Noon. That might be like some crazy Shadow Slave endgame name, so I just go official. Or I just go none. So, you know, I'm like picking and choosing how to read a name just so I don't get spoiled. In case it's a spoiler. But chapter 502 is called Sudden Request. Let's change the music again. Sudden Request, a strange expression. But chapter 502 is called Sudden Request. A strange expression appeared on Sunny's face. Lend her a hand. Meaning, why would a master need help from an awakened? Meanwhile, Master Jet added, you'll be generously rewarded, of course. Well, I can't guarantee the generous part, really, but there will definitely be a reward. His eyes gleamed. Really? What kind? Greedy. She chuckled. A fair share of contribution points, enough to exchange for a decent memory at least. Plus, didn't you say that you owe me a favor? That is true. That was mentioned since the very beginning with when she gave him the communicator and she already put her phone number in it. A fair share of contribution points, enough to exchange for a decent memory at least. Plus, didn't you say that you owe me a favor? That did not sound bad at all. Saint was on the verge of reaching the coveted 200 out of 200 status, and was currently just a few shadow fragments away from it. However, Sunny couldn't really agree to the proposal without knowing what exactly she expected him to do, or could he? Master Jet was one of the two ascended he knew and his only contact to the government. This was a relationship worth maintaining, which meant that it wasn't wise to refuse her request for assistance. Plus, Sunny quite liked her and also owed her a lot, even before she saved him during the gate battle. They were both from the outskirts and had a rather good rapport. They had a connection. He lingered for a moment and then added, "All right, no problem, I'll do it." Master Jet answered with satisfaction in her voice, "Good, I'll come pick you up then." Dude, I don't feel like she's dumb enough to not pick up on who he was. I feel like she knows. I feel like she knows and she's just gonna play ignorant. "Good, I'll come back to pick you up then." Sunny glanced around, evaluating how presentable his living room was. He was suddenly a bit nervous. "What the hell? What are you nervous for, fool?" He cleared his throat and then said, "Sure, oh wait, let me give you an address." Master Jet laughed. "Gee, Sunny, I work for the government, remember? I know your address." And literally, Rain's dad works for the government. I feel like he would know who he is, you know? "Gee, Sunny, I work for the government, remember? I know your address." Not creepy at all. Before he could respond, the call was cut off. Sunny was left standing with a rather dumbfounded expression on his face. She knows. Well, of course she knows. I wonder what else she knows. Noticing the strange look, I feel like she knows he's Weaver. Noticing the strange look on his face, Rain asked, "Did something bad happen?" Sunny sighed and then slowly shook his head. "No, nothing bad. Just some business I have to deal with. Sorry, we'll have to continue the lesson next time." She stared at him for a moment, then shrugged. "Well, alright, I'll practice back home then." With that, Rain picked up her training sword, said goodbye to Effie, and left. A couple of seconds after the door closed behind her, the former hunters gave him an amused look. "That pupil of yours is a bit dense, isn't she?" Sunny frowned, offended by her words. "What do you mean he's offended? Like, you fucking making fun of my sis? What do you mean?" Effie giggled. "Well, you've been tutoring her for a whole month and she still has no idea who the two of us are. We're just two average random awakened to her. I mean, it's not surprising that she didn't recognize you, but I am a very famous person, you know." Is she offended she doesn't recognize her? Sunny smiled slightly. Yeah, your pride must be really hurt. Vulnerable, raised by wolves. Please accept my sincere apology. Not everyone you see is obsessed with the Awakened. Rain, for example, is more interested in historical stuff about or from before the spell. Plus, the government mostly uses your dream realm appearance to plaster all over the city. So, Effie waved a hand. "I'm joking, you doofus. She's a good kid." She paused for a moment and then added, "That's why it hurts me to see her wasting money on a hack like you." At that moment, there was the sound of a PTV stopping nearby and of light stepping approaching their door. Effie's eyes shined. Turning her wheelchair, she opened the door and yelled, "Finally!" Master Jet stood on the porch in her usual deep blue uniform, with one hand raised to knock on the door. Her jacket, as always, was carelessly unbuttoned, revealing her slim waist and generous figure. Her short raven black hair was a bit messy, and there was a look of slight surprise in her icy blue eyes. Effie stared at the older woman for a few moments, disappointment clearly written on her face. Then she said dejectedly, "Oh, you're not..." Oh my god. She thought she was a food delivery person. "Oh, you're not food delivery." A polite smile appeared on Master Jet's face. "Ah, awakened Athena. It's an honor to meet the famous Raised by Wolves. I am Ascended Jet." Effie glanced at her, then at Sunny, then back at Master Jet. Then she smiled. "Good job, doofus. I approve." Sunny gave her a murderous look, cursed inwardly, and turned to Master Jet. "Do I need to prepare?" She shook her head. "Your usual memory should do. If everything goes well, you won't even need to use them." He hesitated, then asked, "What if he doesn't go well?" "What if it doesn't go well?" Master Jet grinned, making Sunny suddenly feel very uneasy for some reason. "Well, then it'll probably go badly, won't it? We'll know when we know." Oh my god, what a way to fucking speak. "We'll know when it happens, you know?" With that, she looked at Effie and said, "Please excuse us. Time is of the essence. We will have to leave immediately. It was very nice to meet you, Awakened Athena." Effie winked at her. "Whoa, sure, it was nice to meet you too. Bring back snacks next time." Sunny felt his ears turning red and promised himself to have a word with her when he got back. Or better yet, kill her. Yet, that would be much better. What next time? There won't be a next time. He quickly put on his shoes and followed Master Jet outside, then got into familiar PTV. As soon as the doors closed, she sent the vehicle, moved at full speed, and acceleration pressed Sunny into the seat. The streets of the terrace district flew by in a blur. Master Jet glanced at him, then said wistfully, "That's a nice home you have there. Feels strange, right? To 201. I did the same thing after becoming awake, and actually, granted it took me a bit longer to earn enough. You could have afforded much better district though. You know that, right? Sunny shrugged. Yeah, I know, but I like it here. It's quiet. Yeah, that's not it. She looked into the window and smiled. Can't deny that. Sunny waited for a few moments, then finally asked, Master Jet, sorry, but what exactly are we doing? She briefly glanced at the control screen on the PTV, sent it to the sharp turn, and then answered calmly, we are going to hunt down a dangerous beast. A beast? But there's no gate. We're probably gonna hunt down another awakened. Another person affected by the spell. Maybe it's like a awakened master ascended that went rogue. We're going to hunt down a dangerous... Unless there's a gate that we're going... No, they wouldn't have known. We're going to hunt down a dangerous beast. He frowned. Beast? What kind of beast? Master Jet remained silent for a few moments, then shrugged and glanced at him and smiled darkly. The most dangerous beast... Oh my god, it is. The most dangerous beast there is. A human. I forgot why does Sunny not tell him about his friends about Rain. I assume it's to keep her, like, safe. Because if people can tie that, like, oh, Rain and Sunny are related, I feel like the more people know that, the more dangerous it is. It's like in any, like, I feel like it's like any superhero comic book trope. The more people know, the more dangerous it is. Like Spider-Man, it's like, the more people know about Mary Jane and who Peter is, like, the more dangerous it is. And, like, that's why they have to keep their identity separate. Peter Parker and Spider-Man are two separate people always until the end of time. I feel like that's why. Sunny, Mongrel, two different people. Sunny, Weaver, like, there must be no connection linked between Sunny to that. Because the more people know, the more dangerous it is. That's how I'm interpreting it, you know? Chapter 503 is called Harsh Reality. Wait, no. I'm reading the wrong thing. Wait, no. Did I skip a chapter? Wait, no, I'm at the top of 502. My dumbass. Chapter 503 is called Harsh Reality. Sunny shifted in his seat, and now the music is too low. Oh, I think the song is restarting. Sunny shifted in his seat. A bleak expression appeared on his face. A human. Why would a master be hunting down a human? There was police for that, unless, of course, the human... It is an awaken. Unless, of course, the human was an awakened. Sunny was aware of the special government agents, carriers of the nightmare spell themselves, dealt with those awakened who broke the law simply because police officers were often helpless against criminals that possessed inhuman strength and wielded bizarre or dangerous aspect abilities. Wow, this is the first time where we're like getting people that have been afflicted by the spell, survived, and then they don't use their power for good. They use it for evil. That's kind of fucking cool. Wait, hold up. I know Caster used his abilities for evil, and I know there's sovereigns, but like I'm talking about like now like out for like just doing crime. Okay. This is good. Carriers of the nightmare spell themselves dealt with those awakened who broke the law simply because police officers were often helpless against criminals that possessed inhuman strength and wielded bizarre or dangerous aspect abilities. It made sense that Master Jet would be involved in this side of the government work too. But honestly, he didn't know too much about how those things usually went. Glancing at her, Sunny asked, is it an awakened criminal? Master Jet spared him a short glance. A criminal, yes, you might say. Oh, it's not an awakened. Okay. A criminal, yes, you might say that. She remained quiet for a few moments and then corrected herself. No, actually do not. The man we must find is not a criminal. He is an animal, a rabbit one. Sunny frowned. An interesting choice of words. Master Jet was concentrating on driving the PTV, so she didn't answer immediately. When she did, however, her voice was strangely calm. You are not an experienced sleeper anymore, Sunny, so I will be straightforward. You of all people should be able to understand the nightmares are a dream realm. They take a toll. Some people endure, some people break. Some people carry the nightmares back with them to real world. It's like PTSD, dude. A dark expression slowly appeared on her face. From what I heard about the Forgotten Shore, you witnessed the worst of what the spell does to us. Yes, we awaken are at the top of the world. Those who return alive, that is, we have all the privileges, all the money, all the power, but the mark it leaves on us never goes away. After that, all the pain, blood, and horror, after all the crap, we, the lucky few, are forced to survive many cracks. Master Jet looked at the road, her icy eyes full of unmanageable coldness. Bro, there is some history. I don't think she's just saying that in general. She probably knows somebody that fucking cracked. Probably. Some crack a little and some crack a lot. The government portrays us awakened as powerful and noble, the saviors of the world. But really, most of us are walking on the edge, just one little step away from madness. All the trauma can mess one up really good, you know. It's all a big, big mess. So when one of the awakened loses control up and makes the last step, what do you think happens? Sunny remains silent for a while, thinking about the damage a deranged awakened could do in the mundane world. His expression became dark and heavy. He didn't even want to imagine when that happens, you receive a call. Fuck, really? So we don't even just have to worry about gates in the real world. Now we got now we actually have people that have been afflicted by the spell. That's fucked up. Master Jet glanced at him and smiled. Smart, yes. When an awakened goes out of control, I or someone like me receives the call. Things like that usually don't get out because the government doesn't want them to. For obvious reasons, everything is dealt with quietly, and so here we are. Sunny didn't speak for a bit, and then he asked, so what exactly is going to happen? We find this guy, talk him down? No, we kill him, bro. Talk him down or overpower him, and then put him in cuffs, arrest him. What a funny thought that was. Him making the arrest. Sunny had been on the other side of this equation a few times in the past, and never in his life had he imagined putting handcuffs to someone and not the other way around. Master Jet gave him a complicated look. There was almost pity. No, we are not going to arrest him. Sunny blinked a couple of times. Will he be free to walk around as if nothing happened until the trial? Of course, there was another much darker answer. As if reading his thoughts, Jet slowly shook her head. No, he won't be walking around. Sunny looked into the window. Ah. Damn. That's crazy, dude. Think of it like the Beyonder thing. Loss of control. No, that's exactly what I was going to talk about, Amma. I was like, this kind of reminds me of Lord of the Mysteries. Like, what was so crazy about Lord of the Mysteries? You're always finding crazy ass Beyonder creatures and all that. But like sometimes, bro, there's like somebody that's going to lose control and they get corrupted. And then it's like, you got to fight that shit too, bro. It's like when old Neo had to fight his friend in Volume 1. It's like, fuck. And it's like, it's the same shit here, bro. It's like when like you lose your humanity, that's the worst villain. That's the scariest thing. Damn. Master Jet sighed. If they summoned me, then things are already beyond that. Think about it. If a mundane human needs to be contained, you can put them in prison. But we are awakened. Realistically, there is no prison that can be built to hold us, not with every aspect being unique and demanding unique means of containment. So there will be no arrest and there will be no trial. Literally, it's like Dredge. I am your judge, your jury, and your executioner. Damn. So there will be no arrest and there will be no trial. She accelerated the PTV even further and then said evenly, there will only be an execution. Sunny looked, wow, my God. Sunny looked out the window, not sure how he felt about that. Yes, what Master Jet said made sense. Awakened were too powerful and too dangerous. If one of them lost control and they need to be dealt with somehow in a perfect world, they would go through the same process that mundane humans went through. They would be arrested, tried, and either looked in the cell to receive a proper help in a mental institution. I just realized, because I can hear when my audio spikes when I'm like, I notice when streamers scream, they're like, oh my God, like they look away for the mic for obvious reasons. I feel like I should be doing that. But this was not a perfect world, so instead they would just be hunted down and executed, and the whole thing would be swept under the rug to preserve the spotless reputation the Awakened enjoyed. Although harsh, this was a somber reality. He wasn't against the idea itself. He just didn't know how to feel about the fact that this time he was going to be the executioner. Finally, turning to Master Jet, Sunny lingered for a few moments and then asked, so why me of all people? Why ask me for help? Master Jet glanced at him, then grinned. 3 reasons, really. She blew through the intersection and almost crashing into a heavy cargo vehicle, and then... Dude, she's a bad driver. What happened? And then dodged it at the last second. We're never lost from place. No. I've never been lost. What are you talking about? First, I know you. There are many people who could have helped, but very few whom I would trust to have my back. Sunny nodded, strangely pleased to hear that. Second, from my initial information I received, the suspect might have an aspect that is somewhat similar to yours. High affinity to shadow, so you'll be helping when we're tracking him down. And if things go south, he won't be able to escape easily. Another shadow user. Interesting. She gave him a calm look and added, and lastly, here we go. There are a lot of people working for the government, but very few who know are suited for this kind of work, unlike you and I. Sunny considered her words after a while and asked, because I am from the outskirts just like you. No, maybe? It's not that simple. Master Jet remains I just read the next line. How the fuck does she know? Master Jet remained silent for a bit and then gave him a bright smile. No, because you are a killer, just like me. What? What do you mean? Every awakened is a killer. What is she implying with that line? We have all killed nightmare creatures. But does she know he's killed like a human? Huh, okay. Wait, did I end something? Did I change scenes? What the fuck was that? Chapter 504 is called The Right People. Sunny wanted to deny her words, but in the end simply turned away to look at the city streets flying by. Master Jet knew, of course. She had long known that he had the capacity to be a killer because of the cruel past the two of them shared, and more than that, she had access to the records about the events of the Forgotten Shore and the government agents had compiled. I'm sorry, so who fucking leaked that he had to kill someone? Out there, Sunny had killed his fair share of people. Oh, you know what? Gunluck's crew too in the beginning. Out there, Sunny had killed his fair share of people. He had not been the most active participant in the civil war for the throne of the Bright Castle, but his hands were covered in blood too. There were very few survivors of the Dark City who, like Aiko, managed to go through the morbid ordeal without staining themselves with human blood. And then there were the other lives that almost no one knew he had ended. Castor, Harus, and the hunters who had kept Kai locked in the dark well, and Harper. Even before that, he had killed the old slaver, Shifty, Scholar. Wow, there's a lot of people he's killed, now that I think about it. Even before that, he had killed the old slaver, Shifty, Scholar, and a row of the... Oh, here it is. It's brought up again. An arrow of the 9 without batting an eye. Now, I feel like that's Guilty 3 for idiots like me who wouldn't be streaming like, who? Oh, wait, hold up. The 9 is brought up again. Like, we had Eureece of the 9, and now we have Aro of the 9. Look at that. Guilty 3 is good. He is really good at reminding people like me who are forgetful. But since I'm live, you guys help me out. Aro of the 9 without batting an eye. Honestly, it was not a big deal, except for maybe Harper. Sunny never lost sleep over any of the humans that had died by his hand. If he was honest with himself, he had to admit that some of them he even enjoyed killing a little. That's insane. Like Harus, he enjoyed killing Harus. And it was precisely the fact that he didn't think of it as a big deal that proved Master Jet's words. Sunny was a killer, and not in the sense that he had killed before or had been taught how to. He had an innate aptitude for that sort of thing, and there were not a lot of people who did. In fact, he only knew 3. The first one was himself, the second was Nephis, and she was one who had taught him another murder. After all, maybe that was one of the reasons why Changing Star had chosen to impart her family battle style to Sunny. Maybe she had recognized that the two of them were similar, that both of them had seen and known the truth of the world, that he would be able to understand. The third one was Master Jet. G3 knows people who were forgotten about it? Hell yeah. He knows people like me are out there in the world. You know, like, oh, they probably don't remember anything of the 9. Sunny suddenly realized that he didn't know much about her apart from her rank, her past as a kid from the outskirts, and her role as a government operative. Everything that he thought he knew about Master Jet had come from the others told him about her, painting the imitating and imposing picture of the fearsome Soul Reaper. The picture, however, did not reveal the real human hidden behind the loud nickname. In fact, it only served to obscure her more. What nightmares Jet herself had survived on her path to become a master, what her hopes, her convictions, what were her goals. He had no idea. Thinking about it, Sunny hesitated for a while and then said, Master Jet, can I ask you a question? She glanced into him briefly and smiled. Sure. Sunny carefully chose his words before formulating a question. In the end, he asked simply, Why are you not a saint? Master Jet laughed, her voice full of amusement. What a peculiar question. You say it as though becoming a saint is something that just anyone can do. He shook his head, not willing to let go. But, I scrolled down too much, but you are not just anyone. Sure, you might be younger than most masters out there, but very few of them can compare to you in terms of talent and power. The fact that you chose not to challenge the second nightmare proves that you have ambition, so why stop? What if we invite her to the second nightmare? The fact that you choose to challenge the second nightmare proves... Wait. No, duh. The fact... Yeah, hold up. I'm stupid. She already did do the second nightmare. The fact that you choose to challenge the second nightmare proves that you have ambition, so why stop? She hasn't done the third nightmare. My bad. So why stop? She spared him another glance and asked with an easy smile. Why? What have you heard? Sunny shifted uncomfortably. Crap. I've been told that no one wants to go into nightmare with you because of your problematic personality. Murderous savage and a psychopathic killer. Those were the precise words they used. Sorry. Like they said it, not me. Really? Wait. Sorry, he smiled. Her smile turned wider. Really? Haven't heard of those before, huh? I like it, but what do you think yourself? He remained silent for a bit and then said with a bit of doubt, I don't think I buy it. I just took it at face value and as an inexperienced sleeper. But after the Forgotten Shore, the statement doesn't seem to make sense. Sure, it is important to trust those who you enter the nightmare with, but at the end of the day, strength is strength, and you are very strong. You also work for the government, which proves your ability to be an adept part of larger collective, to work in a team, so I simply don't understand. Master Jet did not speak for a while, concentrating on the road. Eventually, she answered, a hint of darkness finding its way into her voice. That is because you don't know enough. You're young and haven't had to deal with the awakened affairs a lot. Sovereign foreshadowing? Plus, some of these things people only yearn after reaching a certain stage. You're not at that stage yet, but since you've asked, I'll answer. Oh! More reveals? She looked at him, then smile disappeared from her face. It is very simple, really. Basically, you need the right people to help you become a master, but to become a saint, you need the right people to not obstruct you. The sovereigns. Take it as you will. She didn't say anything else, and Sunny did now ask, a deep frown appearing on his face, for the right people to not obstruct you. He understood what Master Jet was hinting at, of course, and he knew enough to come to the right conclusion. What she just told him was that to become a saint, one had to receive permission. Permission from the fucking sovereigns. And Jet knows we don't fuck with the sovereigns. I'm calling it right now. Sunny found a unique second nightmare, right? He found the egg, the cocoon that hasn't hatched. When he finds that unique third nightmare, he'd be like, yo, Jet, you gotta come with me. Right? What she just told him was that to become a saint, one had to receive permission, and it wasn't too hard to realize who had to give that permission. The sovereigns. Who else but them? The three supremes who ruled the most powerful awakened, the legacy clans. From the shadows, come to think of it, such an arrangement made a lot of sense. There were just a few dozen saints in the world, and each of them possessed unbelievable mind-boggling powers. Would the sovereigns have allowed such a powerful individuals to exist outside of their control? From everything that Sunny knew about the vile nature of the powerful of the power and how the world worked, the answer was obvious no. So did every saint out there actually belong to one of the sovereigns? It seemed that they did, even Sky Tide and White Feather Clan, including Tyrese? Ooh, wait a minute. Oh, does that make her a bad guy? Like, what if she gets orders by the sovereigns like, hey, I need you to fight Sunny or kill Sunny? Like, would she follow that? Or would she try and protect Sunny? It seemed that they did. Even Sky Tide of the White Feather Clan, who gave Sunny an impression of being a reluctant and fiercely independent woman, was beholden to a great clan, and therefore an anvil of valor, valor of a steer, song of ale, and sovereign of that clan. What about people like Master Jet then? Someone capable enough to become a saint, but either labeled an undesirable or simply unwilling to submit to one of the Supremes. What was the obstruction she had spoken about? Was it a simple lack of support, or would the sovereigns go much further to prevent an independent saint from appearing in this world? I think that's what it is. I think it's the latter. If they had no problem with sending assassins to kill the 6-year-old daughter of their former comrade and companion, then they would surely have none with making someone like Jet meet an unfortunate end should she act out of line. He lowered his head and briefly covered his eyes with a hand. It's the same. It's absolutely the same crap as was Gunlink had done in the Bright Castle. God's how unoriginal. Dude, Sunny is fucking funny. It's the same. It's absolutely the same crap as what Gunlink had done in the Bright Castle. God's how unoriginal. That's so funny. But that was the thing about Vile Things. People love to romanticize evil and those who committed it, creating countless alluring characters to act as compelling and brilliant villains. But in reality, human evil was almost always banal. It's always followed the same disgusting, predictable paths and led to the same hateful end. No wonder Nephis wanted to destroy them so much. Sunny's thoughts were suddenly interrupted by the PTV coming to an abrupt stop. Looking out the window, he saw that they had arrived at a dark, narrow alley, which was currently blocked off by a police cordon. Blinking lights of several armored police vehicles drowned in an unsettling glow, and there were many officers on scene, their faces pale and tense. Master Jet yawned, stretched, and gave him a crooked grin. Rise and shine, awakened sunless, we've arrived. Oh, this is gonna be a good fight. The slot. Oh my god, it's gonna be a good fight. And now we play. Good night, my friend. And now we play walls closing in, because it sounds like we're gonna get into a little bit of an awakened fight. I'm ready. Chapter 505. 500? Chapter 505 is called The Slaughterhouse. Sunny gets out of the PTV somewhat apprehensive of what he was about to see. The police officers present at the scene looked very relieved to see Master Jet and him appear. Their tense faces cleared and the darkness hiding in their eyes seemed to dissipate a little. This was not at all how these types of situations were usually portrayed in popular media. In the crime mystery shows, whenever a plucky, mundane detective encountered a cold and by-the-book awakened agent, their relationship always started very confrontationally, with mutual disdain and debates over who was supposed to handle the case, only to end up as an entertaining team-up, of course. Once again, reality turned out to be very different for how the storytellers like to portray it. There was no conflict over jurisdiction or negatively expressed by the police officers. Instead, they were genuinely happy to see the awakened specialists arrived. Well, of course they were. It was just as the old policeman had once told right before Sunny's faced the first nightmare. They can't handle it. If he died and no awakened was near, they would have to fight the nightmare creatures his body had turned into themselves, and that was not something mundane humans ever wished to do. Master Jet walked over to one of the policemen and greeted him with a short nod. Despite the fact that he was much older than her, not to mention Sunny himself, the officer treated them with the utmost respect. Nice to see you again, ma'am. Greetings, sir. Let me show you the way. He led them deeper into the alley towards a heavy metal door that hid in the deep shadows. It was wide open and there were strange flashes of intense white light coming out of it, mixing in with the red glow of the police sirens. What is this scene? The whole situation seemed like a little surreal to Sunny, as though he was in the midst of a strange dream. I mean, where else would I be addressed as sir by a police officer? Life sure is funny sometimes. Slightly amused by the thought, he turned to Master Jet and asked, "What is this place?" She hesitated for a few moments and then said in an unexpectedly dark tone, "It's a club of sorts called the Slaughterhouse, one of the few such establishments in the city." Sunny stared at the door, which had no signs of any indication that there was a club out there on the other side of it. Was this a marketing ploy to create a feeling of mystique and exclusivity, or were there things going on inside that needed to be hidden? A peculiar name for a nightclub. Master Jet smiled with a corner of her mouth. It is meant for a very specific clientele. What are we implying? It is meant for a very specific clientele. The ground floor is your usual dance club, but beneath it, there is a VIP area with an underground arena. There is nothing illegal going on there, just things that are in poor taste. She's paused and then added somberly. They send echoes usually... Oh, that's fucking cool. They send echoes, usually dormant beasts, to fight against mundane fighters there. The fighters are paid generously, of course, and the club profits from the rich assholes who enjoyed watching this sort of thing enough to recoup losses if one of the echoes is accidentally destroyed. Everyone wins, I guess. Sunny frowned. He knew that wealthy people were big fans of wasteful forms of entertainment and, yeah, dreamscape, and that there were arenas where precious echoes were made to fight each other just for spectacle of it. Hiring mundane humans to battle them, though, wasn't it a bit too much? Did I suddenly become a child after the awakening? Of course, nothing was ever too much. Sunny knew all about how Vice worked from his childhood in the outskirts. His current surprise was just because he lacked knowledge of what forms it took amongst the more affluent layers of society. So what happened in the slaughterhouse? Master Jet shrugged. That's what we have to find out. All I know is that everyone inside is dead. Kind of ironic, actually. The police officer guiding them spared her a glance and then said hoarsely, "It's a proper mess there, ma'am. Not for people with weak stomachs, and also not something mundane human would have ever been able to do." Charming. Inside the air, so it might not be an awakened, well, I mean, if they have control over the echo or memory, then yeah, I guess it's them. Inside, the air was filled with the smell of blood. Sunny found himself in a vast hall filled with flashing lights, blinding white mixtures with short moments of absolute darkness to create a strange and invasive atmosphere. It was hard to perceive anything in the strobe light hell. Master Jet frowned. What's with the light show? The policeman looked down in embarrassment. Sorry, man, we figured out how to turn off the music, but the lights are giving us some trouble. They can't find the lights, or the light switch. She gave him an unamused look. We'll get on with it. The officer turned around and walked away, shouting at his colleagues. A few moments later, the hall suddenly became enveloped in darkness and the regular illumination kicked in. Without the constantly flashing strobe lights, the club looked smaller and more worn down than Sunny had expected. He did not pay too much attention to the designs of the interior that raised the stage of the bar with hundreds of expensive-looking bottles standing on the shelves behind it. With a gloomy expression on his face, Sunny was looking at the bodies. You know what this kind of reminds me of? I don't know if you guys ever watched Blade. When they're like in the nightclub, but then they do all this crazy shit, or at least all the vampires do all this crazy ass shit. With a gloomy expression on his face, Sunny was looking at the bodies. There were more than a dozen of them, all broken and terribly disfigured, as if chewed and spewed out by a tornado. But of course, a natural disaster had nothing to do with what had happened in the CD club. The result only looked like it. This was the work and Awakened. Suddenly he remembered Master Jet's question, seeing how it was like a new light. When Awakened loses control, what do you think happens? The answer was right in front of him. Terribly battered human bodies were lying on the floor, drowning in pools of blood. Oh, this is going to be so censored in the webcomic. In pools of blood. Indeed, this was not a sight for those who had weak stomachs, but for better or worse, Sunny had seen enough horrors to not be moved too much by such a scene. It left a deep impression even on him, though. Sunny didn't have to look too closely to realize what had transpired, the position of bodies, the nature of their wounds. The murderer had not used some powerful memory or let an echo loose on the people. No, it was much simpler. They just did it with their hands. Whoa. Back during the gate battle, Sunny had thrown a heavy vehicle at the advanced horde of nightmare creatures, carving a bloody path in their ranks. This was the strength of Awakened. Even if he had been augmented by a shadow, his own strength was still vastly superior to that of a mundane human. A frenzied Awakened could tear through a dozen humans in a matter of seconds, and none of them would be able to do anything to stop it. In front of all Spell Carrier, mundane humans were like paper dolls. It only took a little effort to destroy them, that bastard. Sunny remembered how he had doubted whether or not he wanted to play the role of an executioner on the way to the crime scene. Rain could have been one of the victims. He could have been one too, before becoming an Awakened. As he was looking at the broken bodies, all his doubts disappeared. Oh yeah, he is going executioner on his fucking ass. This is gonna be a good ass fight, huh? Oh yeah, Sunny is definitely locked in. You took the words right out of my mouth, man. Chapter 506 is called Silent Witness. As Sunny studied the bodies, Master Jet went away to talk to the police officer. And you know what? Let me turn off my light just so it does, because I realize the light gets to me when it's on for so long. I'm gonna just turn it off. But nah, man, I'm telling you, hold up, before I forget, this is like some crazy twisted version of like John Wick when he's in like the club and the first and second movie, he's like killing everybody. It's crazy, dude. Chapter 506 is called Silent Witness. As Sunny studied the bodies, Master Jet went away to talk to the police officers and then returned with one of them. There was a disappointed expression on her face. No usable recordings left. Figures places like this only exist because they value the privacy of their clients, and the few cameras they did have show nothing but darkness. Sunny looked at her, then sighed. Not much to tell from the victims too. The murderer just used their fists. She shrugged. That's how it usually goes in situations like this. The most likely scenario is that the murderer was one of the clients who went on a rampage because of either alcohol or stimulants and a momentary failure to hold on to their sanity, so I doubt that this mess was premeditated. Master Jet oh, okay. Master Jet remained silent for a moment and then added, he was lucid enough to use his aspect to obscure the cameras though, so dealing with him won't be too simple. With that, she turned to the police officers and asked, any survivors? Do we have witnesses? He hesitated for a bit, then gave her a strange look. That, yes, actually there are a few people, but the officer didn't finish the sentence and just stared at them with an uneasy expression. Sunny raised an eyebrow, but what? Are they refusing to talk? The policeman shook their head slowly. No, they're not refusing, they just... I don't know, something is wrong with them. They just don't speak or even react, really. I've seen a lot of people in shock, and sometimes they can almost be catatonic, but this is something else. Gave us all the creeps, to be honest. Sunny and Master Jet glanced at each other, and then one of them said, lead the way. The officer sighed and then escorted them back to the club, where an inconspicuous door led to the service rooms. The witnesses were gathered in the small office, standing there motionlessly with the nervous paramedics trying to determine the reason for their condition. There were 5 of them, all sharing the same blank, strangely peaceful expression on their faces. They were completely silent, motionless and still. They did not react to the arrival of the new people at all. Their eyes were calm and empty. Sunny paled. How is this possible? It only took him a second to recognize what was wrong with the survivors, of course. In fact, they weren't survivors at all. These people were dead. Hollows. To be more precise, they were hollows. How can a mundane human be a hollow? Suddenly, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Looking at Master Jet, he saw that she had a deep frown on her face too. The massacre in the dance hall was bad enough, but this just made a whole situation frightening and eerie. If before Sunny was just disgusted, now he was starting to get concerned. What the hell? Master Jet stared at the 5 hollows for a few moments, then turned to the paramedics. Go take a break, guys. Let these people be. They are already dead. One of the paramedics, a mature woman with short blonde hair and gentle eyes, looked at her with confusion. I'm sorry, ma'am. But they are fine. We need to just let out a heavy sigh. Their souls are destroyed. There is nothing you can do to help them. Something else will take care of the rest. Or someone else will take care of the rest. The paramedic looked at her for a while, then glanced at the ground and silently walked away. Her colleagues followed, expressions of regret, anger, and horror clearly written on their face. Wow, what the fuck? Now, were those hollows already there? Or was that because of what happened? The police officer stayed, but made a point of standing as far away from the hollows as he could. Master Jet stood silently for a few moments, her scrawls growing deeper, then turned to Sunny. Answering your question, I don't know. He hesitated for a bit and then asked, but how can a mundane human become a hollow? It's only supposed to happen to those who die in a dream realm, right? She glanced at him, then silently shook her head. Eventually, Master Jet said, wrong. There's a very small chance of a powerful soul attack creating a hollow. That is new lore. But beings capable of dealing direct soul damage are very rare, so it doesn't happen too often, almost never really, but Sunny can. Sunny walked closer to the 5 empty humans and studied them. Can you do something like this? Master Jet lingered for a bit and then answered simply, if I am really precise. Something was very wrong with these people, and not just the fact that they were hollow. There was something else, something that almost made Sunny's hair stand on end. A feeling of subtle but profound wrongness. He reached out with his shadow sense and flinched. Master Jet did not miss the sudden reaction. What? Did you discover something? Sunny gritted his teeth, then not. Whoa! They're shadows. They're dead. She stared at him with a raised eyebrow. How does this work? I don't know much about shadow affinity, sorry. It's a very rare type of aspect. Does damage to a shadow correlate to soul damage? Maybe. Sunny thought for a bit and then shrugged. I am not sure myself. There's no manual for it, after all, but only 2 things ever managed to damage my shadow. One was another shadow and the other was a soul attack. Sunny wasn't sure that he was comfortable providing Master Jet, a person specializing in exactly such a type of attack, with this information, but decided to share it nevertheless. He trusted her that much, at least for now, right? So since shadows are susceptible to soul damage, it is not too much of a leap to assume that they share a deep connection to the soul, or are tied to it somehow at least. She nodded and remained silent for a while, thinking. Then Master Jet echoed his recent question, can you do something like this? Sunny shook his head. No, my aspect doesn't have means of dealing damage to someone's shadow, at least not yet. His shadow sense, meanwhile, spread through the whole club, allowing him to perceive it as a whole. And there, deeper and underground, he noticed something strange. Sunny lingered for a few moments and then turned to the police officer. Gather your colleagues and leave. Don't come inside again until either Master Jet or I tell you to. The policeman opened his mouth, wishing to say something, then simply nodded and hurriedly walked away. Master Jet glanced at Sunny with a question in his eyes. What was that all about? Sunny gave her a dark look. That's, how do I say this? I think the killer is still inside. Oh shit. Okay. Chapter 507. It's called In the Spotlight. Master Jet remained silent for a second and then asked calmly, are you sure this place has been swept multiple times before we arrived? Sunny nodded. He is here underground. She looked down, her face slowly turning somber. Well, I guess we should go and say hi. Sunny nodded and made a step towards the door of the small office. However, she suddenly stopped and wait. He looked at her with a bit of confusion. Yes. Master Jet hesitated for a few moments. Then there was a complicated expression on her face. Finally, she said, there are very few people with a shadow affinity aspect in the world, and even fewer who frequent places such as this. Sunny frowned. What are you trying to say? She looked at him darkly. I'm saying that I might know this guy. In fact, when I heard that there was an incident in the Slaughterhouse, I already had a suspicion of who it was. He blinked a couple of times. You know the murderer. Master Jet shrugged. There are hundreds of thousands awake in the world. That seems like a big number, but in the fact it is not. If you live long enough, sooner or later you will know of everyone who is worth knowing, more or less, in a small world. More or less, it is a small world. She paused for a moment and then added, point is, if I am right, then this will be dangerous. This guy is not someone who had spent his whole life behind the Citadel wall. He was the real deal, a specialist. Sunny glanced at the 5 hollows, then frowned slightly. A specialist, what a particular word. But he understood what Master Jet had meant. Most of the awakened were thrust into the spell and tried to desperately survive, striving to return to a semblance of a normal life. As a much smaller amount, for whatever reason, embraced their new nightmarish reality and adapted to it, even thrived in it, they shaped their lives and suited to the deadly challenges of the nightmare spell, and not the other way around. Sunny was one of those specialists himself, after all. If he is such a specialist, then how did this mess happen? Master Jet shook her head. Who do you think are the most compromised awakened? Folk who had spent as little time as possible in the dream realm and then returned to their actual lives? No, it's people like us, the professionals. He thought of it for a bit and then said with confusion, I don't get it. Even if he is a seasoned fighter, so what? You are an ascendant. Surely dealing with him will be easy. Master Jet shook her head. Nothing is ever easy, Sunny. This is a mindset that will get you killed. No matter how powerful you are, one mistake is all it takes. Raw power doesn't always decide the outcome of a fight, so you should know this already. Every aspect... I didn't lose my place. Every aspect has a flaw and every power has a counter, so keep your guard up. Sunny had to agree that she was right. His own experience served as the perfect proof. Horus had died by his hands because Sunny's aspect was a perfect counter to his formidable ability, and Castor had been undone by his flaw. He remained silent for a few moments and then added, that is true. When we confront this guy, pay attention to your shadow. Don't let him get anywhere near it. Master Jet frowned and then gave him a simple nod. Together, they returned to the dance hall, then found another heavy metal door. Behind it, a narrow staircase led further down to the underground arena. The arena itself was larger than Sunny had imagined and looked more like a luxurious theater than a fighting pit. You know what? No, this doesn't only remind me of Blade. In Tokyo Ghoul, there was like an underground arena. That was a pretty good arc too. It wasn't in the anime, they cut it, but it was in a manga, and that part was pretty cool. The rows of seats were furnished with red velvet, and there were private boxes for the most fluent of the visitors. The arena itself resembled a stage and was surrounded by a protective barrier fashioned out of a transport alloy. The whole space was sparsely illuminated with deep shadows nesting between the areas of light. Still, one could be more or less see everything. Master Jet studied the interior of the arena, then said quietly, There's no one here. Sunny lingered for a moment and then walked over to a control panel, hitting in one of the boxes and moved several switches. A moment later, bright spotlights ignited on the ceilings, flooded the area with a bright radiance. The wave of life chased away the shadows, and suddenly a figure of a man could be seen in the very... Oh, he's in the center of the fucking stage. Could be seen in the center of the stage, sitting on the floor with his hand buried in with his face buried in his hands. Previously, that place had seemed to be utterly empty. The man grimaced and then raised his head to stare at the lights with a dark expression. A hoarse voice resounded in the silence of the underground theater. Bastards, why can't they just leave me alone? The murderer was around 30, with a gaunt, unshaven face and bloodshot eyes. There were several used stimulant packs lying on the floor around him. Oh shit, so he kind of basically did OD. As well as shards of broken liquor bottles. His clothes, hands, and face were covered with blood, but the man didn't seem to mind. Blocking the light with one hand, he lowered his gaze and slowly focused it on Master Jet and Sunny. A hint of recognition slowly appeared in his eyes, which was then replaced with contempt. Is that you, Soul Reaper? Hell, they sent the attack dog herself after me. Huh? What an honor. Sunny sighed inwardly. What was it that people are calling other dogs? What was it with people and calling others dogs? He really didn't get it. Dogs were marvelous creatures from what he knew. Of course, only the rich could afford to have one. Dogs were the rich man's best friend. Jet took a step forward, piercing the man with a cold gaze. The murderer shivered. Hi there, Kurt. Long time no see. Oh, so she has met him. Long time no see, Kurt. Oh my god. How long was Easy Gig Long stream? It was like 9 hours. Hi there, Kurt. Long time no see. After hearing her voice, the man called Kurt suddenly grinned. Yeah, long time indeed. You got really full of yourselves lately, haven't you, Jet? Funny that a government lapdog like you finds it beneath herself to associate with an upstanding people like me. Back in the day, you at least knew how to show respect, bitch. This fucking ignorant asshole is gonna die for what he said to Jet. Ignoring his insult, she smiled too. Do you even understand what you have done, Kurt? The grin disappeared from his face as Sunny and Jet slowly walked towards the arena. He furtively looked away. What, that mess upstairs? Ah shit, who cares? They were just cattle anyways. Mundanes only exist to produce more of us, right? So what's the big deal? Sunny's eyes twitched. He's a proper bastard, isn't he? Master Jet, meanwhile, stopped smiling. I care, Kurt. I care. He suddenly laughed. Wait, you're being serious? You're really going to do the whole thing? I'm getting the full parade? Fuck, that's hilarious. Suddenly, an ugly expression appeared on his face. Have you forgotten who you are, Jet? Gods, did becoming a master give you that big of a head? Come on, we all know who you work for and who I work for. You'll still be a master when I am a saint, wench. Oh, so he'd work for the sovereigns. Tone shift, yeah. He glanced at Sunny and then added in a mocking tone, look, you even had to bring a kid to help you out. I guess no adult is willing to get your stench on them. Then Kurt got a bit serious and stared at Jet darkly, deep shadows slowly gathering around him. Look, I get it, I fucked up. So let's have it. Give me a slap on the hand and be on your merry way, alright? I'm having a really hard day as it is. We all know that you won't dare to do more anyways. Master Jet tilted her head a little and then said in amusement, but that's where you're wrong, Kurt. I do dare. Yes, we both know who I work for and who your sorry ass works for. But the thing is, I don't give a damn. She chuckled and outstretched one hand as if ready to summon her weapon. Kurt laughed again. This time, however, his laughter was a bit desperate. Then he looked down and whispered, well, not like it matters. Anyways, you know about the obol scale? Obol scale? I be collecting a lot of obols in Diablo 4. I know what this word is. You know about the obol scale, so why even bother? Nothing will change. He remained still for a moment, then suddenly exploded with movement. After that, everything happened so fast. I assume obol scale is a way to measure their strength? Maybe? That's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's what, like, his obol scale is greater than hers, so he's technically stronger. Yeah, we're locking in. Yeah, we're gonna keep going. But chapter 508 is called the Battle of Shadows. Kurt moved with terrible speed, covering the distance between the center of the arena and the first row of the seats, where Sunny and Master Jet were in a split second. Just from the way he moved, it was easy to tell that his soul core had been fully saturated a long time ago. He was indeed in the powerful awakened. Oh, so he's like the pinnacle of all awakens. Okay. He was indeed a powerful awakened. Still, it wasn't enough time to summon a memory. The white sparks that were supposed to form into a glaive were just starting to manifest themselves around Jet's hand. But he was already upon her. One of Kurt's hands shot forward, a knife forged out of a strange lustrous alloy appearing in his hands as if out of nowhere. There was no magic involved in the sudden appearance, though. The knife had just been hidden in a secret sheath on his forearm. Of course, Master Jet was that much faster. She blocked the stride before it could even reach her flesh, and at the last moment, however, Kurt twisted his wrist and let go of the handle, sending the knife flying past her, right at Sunny. He had barely been able to react. The cruel sight was still in the process of being... Literally, all this is happening while he's still summoning Cruel Sight. The Cruel Sight was still in the process of being summoned, so Sunny used his other hands to try and swat the knife away. It jerked, but then froze. No, wrong. A fraction of a second too late, Sunny realized that the knife was not aimed at his body. It was aimed at... Oh, it was aimed at his shadow. And since he had wasted precious time being mistaken about the killer's intentions, it was too late to move his body away and make the shadow shift out of harm's way. Luckily, Sunny's shadow could move on its own. It suddenly went out of the sync of his movements and jumped away, letting the knife bury itself in the floor and sent a net of cracks through the sturdy synth wood boards. Shaken, Sunny belated jumped back. What is this? Any other awakened would have been killed by the devious attack, most likely to Kurt's misfortune, though he had met a fighter well versed in all things shadows. A few steps away, Master Jet was already turning her block into an attack. Her fist seemed to teleport forward, tearing through the air so fast that it sent a small shockwave rolling through the underground arena. Kurt had long disengaged though, and as soon as he threw the knife, he saturated his body with the essence and lunged back, smashing through the velvet seats, and momentarily appeared a dozen meters away. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he was already moving again, dashing sideways. At the same time, three more knives flew at terrible speed towards Master Jet and Sunny. Their purpose was not to kill or wound them, but to just slow them down. One was meant for Descended, one for Sunny, and the last one was for his shadow. So he's technically going for Sunny's shadow. Okay. Sunny dodged the knife and summoned the shadow to wrap itself around his body, feeling his strength and speed becoming even more enhanced. He dashed forward and finally felt the cool wood surface of the Cruel Sight's hilt appear in his hand. Not too bad. Jet's voice tore his thoughts to shreds. Be careful, he's planning something. Before she could finish this thought, a dark smile appeared on Kurt's face. In the next moment, something massive broke through the floorboards and struck her, or at least tried to. Soul Reaper easily sidestepped the attack and jumped back, then suddenly twisted, making her shadow grow smaller. A fourth knife of... Oh! And that fourth knife, I assume, is going for shadow. A fourth knife appeared out of nowhere and pierced the floor where it had just been a moment ago. Kurt clicked his tongue, so annoying. Sunny, meanwhile, was staring at the thing that crawled from under the floor. It looked like a mound of worn rags with two long arms that had one too many joints growing out of it. Is that a memory or an echo? Each ending in three terrifying curved claws. The towering thing was vaguely humanoid in shape, with broad shoulders and a small head covering by a tattered hood. He felt angry at his own stupidity and echo curses. Of course he has an echo. Why else would that bastard frequent the slaughterhouse in the underground arena? Something didn't add up though. Whatever that thing was, it didn't look like any kind of dormant beast Sunny had ever seen. If he had to guess, he would be willing to bet that the creature was at least of the fallen rank and had at least 3 soul cores hiding in the raggedy carcass, maybe more. Weren't the arena meant for dormant echoes? As a vicious-looking curved sword appeared in Kurt's hands, Sunny got his answer. 3 more nightmare creatures suddenly appeared out of the shadows. There seems to not be looking at the fallen at least. He wasn't sure if they were beasts or monsters though, just that they looked rather menacing. One was covered in black chitin and had a long tail that ended in a jagged blade dropped of poison falling from it and leaving smoldering holes on the floor. Oh shit. It's like a fucking xenomorph when the fucking acid touches the ground. The other was like a repulsive mix of human and a pale centipede. Its limbs numerous and thin as bone needles. The last one resembled a marionette. I understood that reference. A marionette with sharp knives sewn to its wrists. The 4 echoes surrounded Master Jet. If it was anybody else, Sunny might have been worried. Soul Reaper, though, seemed unperturbed. She simply raised her glaive and smiled darkly. The air in the underground arena suddenly felt bitterly cold. She was probably capable of handling the echoes without too much trouble, even if one of them was a fallen demon or worse. Would she be able to do so while paying attention to her shadow, though? That was not something people intuitively knew how to do. As the nightmare creatures attacked, Kurt surrounded himself with a dancing shadows and dashed forward, while Sunny simply took a step back and suddenly appeared in his way. The more shadows the bastard used, the easier it was for Sunny to get to him. After all, he noticed a hint of surprise in the killer's eyes and brought the cruel sight down. The somber memory was in the form of a short sword right now, so the almost non-existent distance between the two of them was not an issue. Somehow, Kurt managed to dodge the silver blade and swiped at Sunny with his curved sword. Although he was incredibly fast, Sunny was much, much faster. Fuck yeah, dude. He moved the cruel sight and blocked the strikes without too much effort. Easy, you say? Easy. Simultaneously, Master Jet words echoed in his mind. One mistake is all it takes. Yeah, Sunny knew it all too well. Usually, he was the beneficiary of the deadly truce and exploited the mistakes of his enemies to bring them down. This time, however, the situation was reversed, as something broke with a deafening crash and a roar full of agony resounded behind their backs. A triumphant spark appeared in Kurt's eyes. At the same time, his shadow suddenly moved. Even though the curved sword was already blocked, its black reflection held in the shadow's hand continued to swiftly approach Sunny's flesh. That is not good. Before it could cut him down, though, the blade of the cruel sight suddenly ignited with blinding radiance, summoning pure sunlight into the underground arena. Sunny had activated the Light Eater. Was that from the Forgotten Shore? He got that when he was in the Forgotten Shore, right? Sunny had activated the Light Eater enchantment, which could absorb and expel light. No, I don't remember when he got that. The Light Eater enchantment, which could absorb and expel light. Because it shined much brighter than the lamps illuminating the theater, Kurt's shadow was suddenly thrown away, appearing behind him and far away from Sunny. He can attack shadows. An expression shock twisted the killer's gaunt face, and he swiftly jumped back, creating distance between himself and the radiant short sword, which was already flying towards his heart. The hilt of the cruel sight, however, suddenly elongated, turning into a shaft of a spear. Before Kurt could do anything, the silver blade pierced his armor and buried itself deep into his chest. He opened his mouth, eyes full of disbelief, before any words could escape it, though. The spear had turned fearfully incandescent, and suddenly the killer's body became enveloped with white flames. Did he kill him? It was that quick? In mere seconds, he had turned into ash. In mere seconds, he had turned into ash. Sunny grinned. Oh, Sunny sighed. You have slain an awakened human, Kurt. Your shadow grows stronger. What a pity. I hope to receive more than a single fragment from a fellow shadow user. I see a bracket. There's more, huh? The spell wasn't done talking, though. You have received an echo. That's crazy. Holy shit. Yeah, let's update. Oh my god, did I not update? I didn't update 508. I'm sorry. Now we're at 509. All right, wait, you're right. Before we read 509, you're right, Nightshade. He got the flame from below the chained isles from the divine flames. It's what I guess. Yeah, you're right. He did absorb a piece of the chained isles divine flames. Not chained isles. When he was in the sky below, I do remember he absorbed parts of the divine flame. And I remember he talked about that when he was in the tower. The cruel sight can absorb harmless amounts of light, divine flames, and other elements. Yeah, and he got the divine flame when he was down there. Yeah. Chapter 509. Ghastly Reward. In the deadly silence that settled over the underground arena after the spell had spoken its last sentence, don't you think what Sunny was not able to harm others shadow kind of strange? Don't you think what Sunny not being able to harm other shadows kind of strange? I don't think it's strange. Like, he can probably use shadows, but he probably can't harm shadows. That's what I'm thinking right now. I don't think it's strange, though. But chapter 509 is called Ghastly Reward. In the deadly silence that settled over the underground arena after the spell had spoken its last sentence, Sunny stared motionlessly at the flakes of ash swirling in the air. An echo. He was now in possession of a new... No fucking way. He was now in possession of a new echo, a human echo. Did he get the same shit he had? A human echo. Of course, it was only logical that an awakened could leave one behind. Sunny had received his first ever memory after killing a human. After all, and those were not too different. However, somehow he had never considered commanding an echo left behind by a dead man. One day, he had killed with his own two hands, no less. I'm recording, right? Yeah. Wasn't it a little bit too ghastly? He imagined The soulless, empty copy of Kurt staring at him with a lifeless eyes and shivering a little. I don't think it's Kurt, maybe it's something else. The situation only made more morbid by the fact that a softly glowing soul shard was left in the pile of ash that the killer had turned into. Just like with nightmare creatures, the strange nature of Sunny's aspect left the crystal intact, despite absorbing the shadow fragment. If an ordinary awakened was in his place, the shard would have formed empty and cracked. Sunny had never dug into a corpse of his human victims to retrieve one, so this was his first time seeing a soul shard left behind by one of his own kind. Before Master Jet could see it too, Sunny bent down, picked up the luminescent crystal, and hid it in his sleeves. His face twitched slightly. Just as he did, the amused voice resounded from behind him. Well, I'll be damned, that was fast. That's what I'm saying. That was fucking fast. I thought we were going to go for another chapter or two. He hesitated for a moment and then turned around. Master Jet was surrounded by a scene of devastation. The interior of the underground theater in her vicinity wait, hold on. We can change the music. She was casually leaning on her glaive, and there was an amused expression on her face. Kurt's echoes, of course, had disappeared after his death. However, Sunny didn't know how many of them she had killed before that happened. In any case, there were no wounds on her body. Master Jet whistled. You actually put down that bastard all by yourself. That's up. Nicely done, Sunny. From her voice, it was clear that she was pleasantly surprised, and who wouldn't be? Kurt had been awakened with at least 10 years of experience under his belt, with a fully saturated soul core and as insidious, deadly aspect, while Sunny had become an awakened less than a year ago. He was never formally trained and had no clan or organization supporting his growth. Not bad for a kid from the outskirts, he shrugged. He was still overly reliant on his unique nature of his powers. A little knowledge of shadows was all it took, really. She slowly shook her head. Maybe you're right. Still, Kurt had quite a reputation back in the day, but hey, why am I surprised? They gave you the SS designation for a reason. With that, Master Jet sighed and looked at the pile of ash with a complicated expression. After a few moments of silence, she added, you know, he was promising young awakened 2 once. Oh, you know, he was a promising young awakened 2 once. One of the few who didn't treat me like a walking corpse back in the academy. Oh, they went to the academy together. Sunny glanced at the ashes, trying to imagine Kurt as young as promising. It wasn't too hard, however. Thinking about a person he had killed this way made him uncomfortable. It was better to remember him as he had been at the end. A depraved, demented murderer, more of a rabid beast really than an actual human. Sunny scratched the back of his head. So then what happened to him? Master Jet lingered for a bit and then shrugged. Life, I guess. Not everyone is cut out for this kind of life we live. In fact, very few are. Sunny dismissed the crow's side though for a few moments and then asked the question he really wanted to ask. So, the stuff he told you about having a powerful protector, what was that all about? Are you going to be in trouble? Wait, am I? Jet smiled. What did you wait, did you believe that fool? Don't worry, he was just being delusional. Sure, he had other powerful masters, but these people, they're not going to make a fuss about someone like him. Kurt became of no use to them the moment he lost control. What's more, he turned into a liability, so if anything, we did the favor by taking care of the mess ourselves. Her smile suddenly grew wider, but also darker. And if they decide otherwise, I'm not so easy to do it with, Sunny. And they would have to go through me first to get to you. What a fucking good-ass teacher, man. Good for her. She's such a good character. He frowned a little, then nodded, accepting her reasoning. It all made sense after all. Powerful people were also practical sort. They wouldn't hesitate to discard a broken tool, and that was what people like Kurt were. Tools to be used and discarded once they could be used anymore. Oh no. My screen went black for a second on YouTube. Let me see if the pause and play work. Okay, it works. We're good. Oh, that was scary. Once they couldn't be used anymore. Good thing I didn't join a legacy clan. I guess that is what I would have become if I did. Master Jet warned me against it for a reason. Then something else came to his mind. The strange words Kurt had said right before launching his suicide attack. Not like it matters anyways. You know about the Obol skill, so why even bother? Nothing will change. What did he mean? It almost seemed as though the knowledge of this mysterious Obol skill was a reason for why he allowed himself to lose control. Of why he had lost hope. Sunny lingered for a few moments, then asked cautiously, oh, by the way, what was that nonsense Kurt went on about? The Obol skill. What is that? Master Jet gave him a long, somewhat strange look, then she simply shook her head. Don't worry about it. It's not some secret anyways. You can find the information on the network. Obol was the name of a... was the name of a scientist who developed the spell text system the government uses to detect signs of manifesting gates. The infrastructure of that thing is getting old, though, so readings have become less reliable lately. Nothing that some thorough calibration can't fix. Sunny tilted his head a little. Why was he so fixated on it, though? She looked at him with amusement. How would I know what went on in that crazy head of his? That bastard massacred 20 people and thought, I think I know what's going on, and thought that I would let him go after a stern reprimand. He was obviously not all there at the end. Huh. I am locked in. I think I figured it out. He frowned and decided to let it go. Either Jet knew or she didn't know. Either way, it didn't seem like she was going to tell him. Instead, Sunny asked, so what now? Master Jet dismissed her glaive and then massaged her shoulders. Now, nothing I'm trying to massage my shoulders. Oh my goodness. Now, nothing much. Gave me 20 minutes to settle things down with the police, and then we'll go get you your reward. She looked at him and then added a smile. By the way, thanks. This would have been much messier without your help. With that, Master Jet walked towards the exit from the arena, leaving Sunny alone. He stood silently for a while and then sighed heavily. It was time to see about his new Echo and decided whether he was going to keep the Ghastly thing or not. I feel like he's going to keep it. It was called the Ghastly reward. So an obol scale, what do you say? Don't worry about the obol scale. If it is who developed the spell text system the government used to detect signs of a manifesting gate, I think I know what it is. I think this is what it is. I think the scientist Obel that made the scale, so I assume his name is Obel, right? That's what he said. The guy's name, that's what Kurt said, right? Or that's what Jet said. So a scientist named Kurt that works for the government made a scale to measure the possibility of a gate manifestation. And we know that, like, earlier, there's like an 89% chance category gate 2. And then what was it? Like 11% chance category 3 gate. I think there's this big ass conspiracy, or there's this known thing going on in the government where they're like, holy shit, there's going to be a giant ass fucking gate that will spawn in the next few years. And it is not speculation. It is fucking factual. This giant ass fucking gate will literally spawn and it's going to devour the world, right? And Kurt said, fuck it, Jet. You know there's going to be a big ass fucking gate. Why fight and protect us if you know it's all going to go to shit? We're almost at 30 chapters. And that is my little conspiracy theory. I think that's what he was implying. And I feel like only people that are in a very, very high position would be able to know, which includes Jet, Kurt, Sovereigns, and maybe a few other people. Well, we don't know. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong scene. Let's do overall thoughts. You know what? I think we can stay on this scene. Yeah, we're chatting. Let's stay on this scene. Oh yeah, Obel is a scientist who is credited for making the skull. No, I know. So that's how it works in real life. Usually people that make the discoveries, they get to name it, and a lot of times they name them after themselves, right? A lot of planets are named after the scientists. A lot of science terminology is named after the scientists. So Obel is a scientist. Obel is a scientist that made a scale to measure a gate manifestation, and they just named it Obel scale. This fucking fight was good. Some more Mommy Jet fan art in Discord. Let's look at it. We'll look at it right now. I'm wide awake now. I'm pulling it up. I'm actually kind of happy that Mommy Jet. I'm kind of excited that Master Jet reached out to Sunny and said, like, hey, can you do this? Oh, see, I remember Seishan. You see, I remember her. Yeah, I remember this was her. Yeah, this was her. I remember her. She was the one that we didn't know if she was going to be a traitor or not, but then she's like, I'll work for Nephis. Broken Sword, Song of Light and Darkness, cameo, Nephis' dad. This was in the movie? Oh, and this is where Sunny was like, that didn't happen. She's like, that's not how it happened. That's what he's like, what is this bullshit? Oh my God. She's beautiful. Oh, this was from their first interaction, right? This was in the beginning of the series. Wow, 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 wow. Can we look at that? Wow. Wow, this one's really good. So this is what we read right now, right? They're talking to the police? Holy shit. Dude, I really like this series. This might be... It's up there. We have work to do, but the Discord calls me. But this is a spoiler or not? No, it's not a spoiler. They talk about it. No, it's not a spoiler. I mean, they talk about Nephis' dad, and they talk about her dad in the movie, so it's brought up. Like this scene literally happens in the movie, right? Where like Nephis' dad is holding her or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I forgot. I read the word forgot and I said forgot, right? Yeah, no, don't worry. That's not a spoiler. That happened. Well, we'll leave it there, man. That was such an amazing fucking fight. I'll be honest, I'm kind of sad at how quick that fight was against Kurt. But don't worry, we're still going to be live for 2 hours. But if you're watching the VODs, I do apologize. I must appease to the... Just like how Kurt appeases to the sovereigns, I must appease to the YouTube algorithm gods, you know? For the channel to potentially grow even more, you know? We got to reach higher and higher. So I do apologize for the delay and the wait, but hey, it is worth it. I feel like it builds up hype and anticipation, right? For the next video. Now, what is crazy, I am excited to see what this fucking human echo is. Because Sunny said it's a human echo. So it's not like Saint. Wait, no. Would Saint be considered humanoid? Or stone? No, she was called Stone Saint. So maybe she wasn't considered human. Maybe as in humanoid in appearance. But I guess we'll find out next time. All right, peace. Have an amazing day. If you like what you want to see more, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And as always, stay frosty again. As always, stay shadowy. Peace. Later, guys.